Chapter 518. Teaching Dominance in Life, Traveling Abroad _4. I get it. Lin Feng nodded. Auntie, hey, race your tea. Chang Yu placed the brewed tea in front of Granny Lin. Lin Feng looked up and said, "You should go inside and study. Your auntie and I still have things to discuss." Okay. Chang Yu turned and walked towards the room. Lin Feng turned to Granny Lin and whispered, "Auntie, do you think Xiaoya has a chance of marrying into the Shangguan family?" Granny Lin was startled. She did not expect Lin Feng to be so ambitious. "That's hard to say." Granny Lin responded. "However, considering Xiaoya's appearance, if she works hard, I suppose there shouldn't be any issue." Chang Yu was quite pretty, otherwise she wouldn't have been class belle in the past. Lin Feng's eyes lit up. So the Shangguan family is not bothered by such things? Granny Lin patted Lin Feng's hand. "Feng, don't worry too much about it for now. Think about these things slowly after marrying into the Shangguan family." Okay. Lin Feng nodded, her mind filling with calculations. "Hungry. I'm hungry. I'm starving." A pitiful cry broke the silence. Lin Feng's face was burning with wrath. Granny Lin glanced towards the direction of the storage room and asked with a complicated expression, "Is that old hag still alive?" "No." Lin Feng shook her head, gritting her teeth. "Although that damned old hag is paralyzed, her other organs are still functioning. Lin Feng only tosses a few buns at old lady Chang each day, but she just wouldn't die. Auntie, do you think I should?" Lin Feng gave Granny Lin a suggestive look halfway through her sentence. Old lady Chang no longer has any other children. If anything happened, there wouldn't even be anyone to report it. Furthermore, Lin Feng had been taking care of her for 3 years. For 3 years, the reputation of being a good daughter-in-law has already spread. Keeping old lady Chang around serves no other purpose. Not only was she useless, but she was also exasperating. No way. Granny Lin immediately put a stop to Lin Feng's idea. Why not? Lin Feng was puzzled. Granny Lin continued. "The Shangguan family values your virtuous and filial character, especially the matriarch of the Shangguan family. If anything goes wrong with this old hag at this stage, they might suspect something." Lin Feng asked incredulously, "Do I have to bring this damned old hag to the Shangguan family?" Granny Lin laughed. "The Shangguan family has many servants. Even if you were to bring her to the Shangguan family, it wouldn't increase your burden. On the contrary, it would make you more impressive in the Shangguan family's eyes." "That makes sense," Lin Feng continued. "But what if that damned old hag keeps spouting nonsense? That's simple, just give her some mute drugs when the time comes, and you won't have to worry about it." With this said, Lin Feng felt completely reassured. "All right, take this." Granny Lin handed Lin Feng an exquisite bag. "What is this?" Lin Feng was curious. "This is Ice Skin Jade Face Cream." Granny Lin continued. "You're about to become a wealthy lady. You have to keep up with the trends in high society." At present, the Ice Skin Jade Face Cream had become a popular trend in high society. Lin Feng watched as she opened the bag. "Oh, it's skincare products." Granny Lin continued. "Don't look down on these skincare products. Every matron and miss of high society is using them. There's a whitening and moisturizing cream that's limited to 60 bottles per store every month. Not only is it expensive, but you also need to reserve it 3 months in advance." Granny Lin added, "Give this Ice Skin Jade Face Cream to Shangguan Furong. She'll be thrilled. As far as I know, the matriarch of the Shangguan family listens to Shangguan Furong." Granny Lin, having spent many years navigating high society, had a deep understanding of the people within it. "It doesn't feel right, Auntie. You've already helped me so much." Lin Feng refused. "That's not true." Granny Lin continued. "Feng, you are my own niece. As long as you remember your auntie when you marry into the Shangguan family, that's enough." Lin Feng immediately nodded. "You can count on me, Auntie. I can forget anyone, but never you. You're even closer to me than my own mother." A satisfied expression crossed Granny Lin's eyes. "By the way, have you been intimate with Shangguan Dahui?" After all, she was a woman who had been married before. Asking such a question was not a taboo for her. Lin Feng blushed. No. It seems like this Shangguan Dahui really is a true gentleman." Granny Lin continued. Fong, I know you're an ambitious girl. You have to plan for your future in a way that covers all bases. The Shangguan family already has 2 children, Shangguan Shi and Shangguan Su, so you need to think about bearing another one. Chapter 519. Dominance teaches how to be a human, traveling abroad _5. Have another child? An expression of difficulty flickered through Lin Fang's eyes. If she could have another child, would she still entertain the idea of marrying Changyu to Shangguan Su? Of course, these were things she could not say to the old lady Lin. Lin Fang nodded. Okay, I understand. After instructing her on a few things, the old lady Lin left. Lin Fang saw her off to the bottom of the apartment block. By the time Anai Yang finished shopping for clothes with the old lady Shangguan, it was already past 3 in the afternoon. Taking advantage of this time, Anai Yang visited the 4 noodle restaurants and milk tea shops, which were now managing stable incomes. Next, Anai Yang headed to the skincare shop. Through her efforts over this period, Anai Yang had now opened 3 branches of Ice Skin Jade Skin. Looking at the empire she built single-handedly, a faint smile surfaced at the corner of Anai Yang's mouth. The feeling of independence without relying on anyone else was truly great. However, her goal of becoming the richest woman was still a long way off. She still had to make her business bigger and better. After leaving the skincare shop, Anai Yang entered a cafe, ordered a cup of rose summer coffee and a delicate pastry. Rose summer coffee is one of the top-grade coffees in the world. In the future, a cup of it would sell at a staggering price of 1,000 yuan. In the 80s in China, it sell for 180 yuan a cup. Adding a pastry, it totaled 220 yuan. Life sometimes requires some ceremonial senses, so Anai Yang didn't find it pricey. There was a small desk calendar on the table. It was only then that Anai Yang belatedly realized that today was the 2nd of July. Anai Kuihua's birthday was on July 8th. Last year was her first year in Beijing. At this time, she was busy selling pickled vegetable noodles and inadvertently forgot about Anai Kuihua's birthday, but she couldn't forget about it this year. What should she give Anai Tsuehua? As Anai Yang stirs her coffee, she thought, Anai Tsuehua doesn't seem to lack anything now. Why not take Anai Tsuehua out for a trip? Traveling not only relaxes one's mood, but it also exposes the traveler to local customs, thus broadening their horizons. Wasn't there a popular saying in the future? The world is so big, I want to see it. It just so happens that the restaurant hasn't opened yet, so she can relax and travel. Once the restaurant opens, Anai Yang will be busy again. So where should Anai Tsuehua be taken? Anai Yang squinted her eyes and decided on Miami, Shisua Island in M country. M country's economy is well developed. Affected by the invasion of China, China was far behind M country. At this time, the living standard of M country had already reached that of the year 2000 in China. This trip would surely benefit Anai Tsuehua immensely. Ever since her rebirth, Anai Yang has been trying to broaden Anai Kuihua's horizons. Anai Tsuehua hasn't been abroad or seen the sea, so this is perfect. That evening, Anai Yang mentioned this plan at the dinner table. Anai Tsuehua declined. Going abroad would be such a waste of money. Isn't it just a birthday? There's no need for such grand preparations. Anai Yang laughed and said, You don't have to worry about the money. Anai Tsuehua knew Anai Yang had money, but she didn't want to waste it because she knew that it wasn't easy for Anai Yang to earn money. After all, she had been selling spicy sticks for more than 2 months and only earned over 1,000 yuan. Anai Chingue commented, Yang Yang's mom, Yang Yang is sincere in her filial piety, so don't refuse. I've been wanting to travel. Have you noticed that Chunhua hasn't been home since last year? Anai Yang turned her head towards Anai Chingue. Auntie Anai, why don't you come with us? Anai Chingue said, I won't go. If I were to go, I would let my daughter Chunhua take me. As much as she said that, Anai Chingue knew she couldn't rely on her daughter at all. Although her daughter had a stable job, the pay was low. She was in the kind of situation where she had no shortage of small changes, but lacked large sums of money. Otherwise, she wouldn't hesitate to come home during holidays because round-trip fares for both her and her husband would cost them almost 300 yuan. That was still money, wasn't it? Such a job is at best just good-looking, and it can't compare with Anai Yang's. Enai Chungue had already accepted. She couldn't count on her daughter anymore in this lifetime. Enai Yang continued, Auntie and I, just come with us, consider it an early employee benefit from me. If you don't go, my mother won't go either. Going abroad would cost a lot. Enai Chungue was not the sort of ignorant person. Yang, don't be polite. Besides, I can't go now anyway, you and your mother should go. After saying that, Enai Chungue continued, Don't worry, Tsuehua. I will take good care of the chickens and ducks at home. But Enai Tsuehua still refused. Enai Yang held Enai Quihua's hand. Mom, can you come with me? I really want to go to M country. Enai Tsuehua said. Then you can go and play by yourself. Young people like you should travel around and broaden your horizons. I'm really not interested in traveling. M country, F country, I think they're no better than our China. Enai Yang laughed and said, I'm just asking you to go for a trip, not to settle down there. Besides, are you sure you'd let me go and play alone? What if I, a young girl, run into some bad people? Mom, don't you worry about me? At these words, Enai Quihua's originally firm heart began to waver. She was afraid Enai Yang might run into danger. Mom, just come with me, said Enai Yang, pushing the envelope. Enai Chungue added from the side. Tsuehua, you should go with Yang. It's rare for Yang to be so filial. Besides, it's indeed unsafe for a young girl to travel alone. Only then did Enai Tsuehua agree with some hesitation. Enai Yang continued. Then we'll apply for passports tomorrow. Although identity cards were only legally established in 1986, a passport was already needed to travel abroad at that time. Just like in contemporary times, one needed to go to the Public Security Bureau's Immigration Department to process it. Visa applications had to go through the consulates of various countries. In the 1980s, the closed national doors reopened, igniting a wave of going abroad. Therefore, passports and visas of this era were relatively easy to obtain. What is a passport? Enai Tsuehua asked with confusion. Enai Yang explained. A passport is a document that can prove your nationality and identity. Without a passport, you cannot go abroad. Enai Tsuehua nodded. Oh, I see. The next day, Enai Yang took Enai Tsuehua to apply for a passport early in the morning. Today was also the day when Lin Feng took Changyu to the Shangguan family to acknowledge kinship. In the morning, Shangguan Dehui drove to pick up Lin Feng. This was Changyu's first time riding in a car. Prior to this, she had only taken electric trams, so it all felt a bit surreal. Lin Feng and her daughter Changyu sat in the back seat while Shangguan Dehui drove. How old is Xiaoya this year? Is she still in school? Shangguan Dehui asked. Although he and Lin Feng had been seeing each other for quite some time, Shangguan Dehui only knew she had a daughter, and didn't know any other specifics. Changyu replied politely, Uncle Shangguan, I'm 17 this year. I'm currently a junior at No. 3 City High School. After the summer vacation, I'll be a senior. Shangguan Dehui nodded. Looking at Xiaoya, I bet her grades are excellent. Not bad, Changyu replied modestly. In fact, she ranked first in all her exams. Her performance was outstanding. Shangguan Dehui continued. Your senior year is the crucial time. Have you thought about which college you want to apply to? Changyu replied. I want to apply to Beijing University, but I don't know if I can get in. Chapter 520. Lin Feng and her daughter's dream of a wealthy life is shattered. _1 Beijing University is a key project 985 school. And with Changyu's current grades, there should be no problem. Hearing this, Shangguan Dehui nodded in satisfaction. Being a university professor, he liked students with excellent scores. Lin Feng was very satisfied with Changyu's performance. After being around Shangguan Dehui for so long, Lin Feng knew that his approval of Changyu had been granted. The car was swift and in no time, they arrived at the Shangguan's residence. The Shangguan's house was a real mansion. In front of it was a magnificent villa, and behind lay a line of servant rooms. In order to enter the villa's main entrance, one needs to cross an artificial pond, which wasn't too big, around 20 to 30 meters wide. A narrow bridge crossed over the pond that was home to water lilies, and beneath the lily pads, koi carp of red and white darted back and forth. Crossing this stone bridge, you could see two majestic stone lions standing at the front of the villa. When had Chang Yu ever experienced such grandeur? Even on TV, she had never seen anything like it. Just the thought that the villa, the fish pond, and these giant stone lions will all be hers one day elated her beyond measure, and she couldn't suppress her smile. Lin Feng was also visiting the Shangguan's house for the first time. Despite mentally preparing herself beforehand, she was still unable to control her shock. The Shangguans were freaking rich. But Lin Feng managed to keep her emotions under control, striving not to resemble a naive countrywoman, and to avoid becoming a joke, like Granny Lu entering the Grand View Garden. Xiaoye. Lin Feng quietly grabbed Chang Yu's hand and whispered a reminder. Chang Yu, being younger, couldn't control her facial expressions as strictly as Lin Feng, but after Lin Feng's warning, she quickly composed herself and stopped glancing around impertinently. This way. Shangguan Dehui took the lead, unaware of the interaction between the mother and daughter. All right. Lin Feng replied with a smile. As they approached the main entrance, a servant greeted them and took the car keys and coat from Shangguan Dehui. Sir, you're back. Shangguan Dehui nodded and introduced. This is Lin Feng, and this is her daughter Chang. The servant respectfully greeted them. Lin Feng and Chang Yu were both slightly taken aback. This was their first time interacting with a servant. And to have a servant greet them with such respect, the superior feeling was quite satisfying. Chang Yu didn't know how to respond, but Lin Feng quickly replied, hello. Although the person was just a servant, she was visiting the Shangguan's house for the first time, and didn't want to leave a poor impression. Leading them deeper into the house, Shangguan Dehui showed them around the grand and glittering mansion, resembling an ancient palace. At this point, Lin Feng couldn't contain her astonishment anymore, and was on the verge of exclaiming in wonder. Chang Yu had her eyes wide open, not missing a single corner. The villa was enormous, and it took a while for Shangguan Dehui to lead them to the main hall. There were a few people sitting on the sofa in the main hall. Seeing Shangguan Dehui bring people in, Shangguan Shi immediately welcomed them and said, Dad, Aunt Lin. This must be Chang Yu, right? Lin Feng quickly replied, Xiaoye, this is your sister Shi. Chang Yu came forward and grabbed Shangguan Zai's hand. Sister Shi, my mom has long told me how beautiful you are. But you're even more beautiful in person than I imagined. Who doesn't enjoy being complimented? Especially for being pretty. Shangguan Shi had a quite good first impression of her potential sister. Chang Yu, you're very beautiful too. In fact, Chang Yu was indeed a beauty, with her standard almond-shaped eyes, oval face and slender figure. Furong sister Su, this is Lin Feng and her daughter Chang Yu. Shangguan Dehui went on to introduce Lin and Chang to the two women on the couch. One of them was Shangguan Furong. The other was Su Fen's older sister, Su Lian. When Shangguan Dehui remarried, as an aunt to both Shangguan Su and Shangguan Shi, Su Lian certainly had to be present to oversee things. Some stepmothers harbor bad intentions. Moreover, the Shangguans were such a renowned family, she couldn't let others deprive her niece and nephew of what should be theirs. Su Lian examined Lin Feng openly. Indeed, from the moment the mother-daughter duo entered the hall, she had begun to size them up. How should she put it? She felt that the mother and daughter had a bit of an unsophisticated aura, as if they wouldn't fit in high society. Lin Feng followed behind Shangguan Dehui, exchanging pleasantries. Xiaoye, you just call them Aunt and Aunt Su. Shangguan Dehui directed at Chang Yu. Chapter 521. Lin Feng and her daughter's dream of living in luxury shattered. _2. Hello auntie. Chang Yu greeted politely. Auntie? Lin Feng felt something was off the moment she heard those words. So this woman was Su Fen's sister, Shangguan Dehui's original wife? How many years has Su Fen been dead, and why Su Lian is still involved with the Shangguan family? Is she eyeing the Shangguan family's property? That's too shameless. Shangguan Furong had a good impression of Chang Yu, smiling, and nodded. Although Su Lian was a little dissatisfied, she did not show it. Shangguan Dehui turned to Shangguan Shi. Where is your grandma and your brother? Shangguan Shi said. Grandma felt a sudden headache when she got up this morning. Brother took her to the hospital. Went to the hospital? Is the old lady all right? Should we go to the hospital to check? Lin Fong asked anxiously. Shang Guanxi smiled and said, Auntie Lin, you don't have to worry. I just called and Grandma is fine, they are on their way back. That's good. Lin Fong sighed in relief. Her worried look was such that someone who didn't know would think Lin Fong was the birth daughter of the Shangguan matriarch. Shangguan Dehui continued, Quickly sit down, don't stand. Only then did Lin Fong sit down with Changyu. Lin Fong picked up the gift box she had prepared in advance. This is a gift I prepared for the old lady. This one is for Furong. At this moment, with both Shangguan Furong and Su Lian present, it was somewhat inappropriate for Lin Fong to bring up the matter of gifts, because both Shangguan Furong and Su Lian, like Shangguan Su and Shangguan Shi, were their elders, but Lin Fong hadn't prepared a gift for Su Lian. This made Su Lian feel a little embarrassed. What kind of person is Lin Fong? Does she not realize this? In reality, she did this on purpose to embarrass Su Lian. What was Su Lian? A mere outsider. The Shangguan family gave her a little face by calling her big sister. If the Shangguan family didn't want to deal with her, she would be less than a pile of dog shit. Su Lian had no right to criticize her. Lin Fong did this intentionally, to let Su Lian see her place. By coincidence, Shangguan Furong and Su Lian didn't get along. Shangguan Furong smiled and said, You even prepared a gift for me? Seeing Shangguan Furong like this, Lin Fong felt reassured. She handed the prepared gift box to Shangguan Furong. I hope you won't mind, Furong. Shangguan Furong took the gift box, opened it and exclaimed, It's ice skin jade flesh. I've wanted this moisturizing cream for so long, but I haven't been able to buy it. You're so thoughtful. No woman does not love beauty, especially since ice skin jade flesh was so hard to buy. Lin Fong smiled and said, I'm glad you like it, Furong. After a pause, she added, I didn't know big sister would be here today, so I didn't prepare a gift for her. I hope she won't mind. This was directed at Su Lian. Su Lian wasn't going to get angry with Lin Fong over this, but she felt even more so that Lin Fong wasn't fit to be the stepmother of Shangguan Su and Shangguan Shi. She was too common. Su Lian smiled and said, You're too kind. Then she turned to Shangguan Dehui and said, Dehui, can I speak to you for a minute? Although Su Fan had long passed away, Shangguan Dehui has always respected this sister of his wife. Otherwise, he wouldn't have invited Su Lian to such an important occasion. Lin Fong stared at the retreating figures of the two. Did she underestimate Su Lian's standing in the Shangguan family? Take a drink, don't mind her. Shangguan Furong poured tea for Lin Fong. All right, thank you. Seeing Shangguan Furong, Lin Fang's anxious heart gradually calmed down. Shangguan Dehui followed Su Lian into the yard. Su Lian got straight to the point. Dehui, I don't agree with you being with Lin Fong. Shangguan Dehui was stunned. Why? Su Lian continued. The Shangguan family is of high status. You're a professor, Xiaoxiu is a bank president, Xiaoxi is a postgraduate student. Lin Fong is too narrow-minded, can't hold the stage. She will shame you and Xiaoxiu and Xiaoxi. Sister, do you have any misconceptions about Lin Fong? Shangguan Dehui asked. I'm speaking the truth. Anyway, I disagree with this. Su Lian was very firm. Su Lian, are you upset because Lin Fong didn't give you a gift? Shangguan Furong joined the conversation. Do I look like that kind of person? Su Lian turned to look at Shangguan Furong. Chapter 522. The luxury dream of Lin Fong and her daughter shattered _3. Shangguan Furong laughed and said, I think they look quite alike. Su Lian was overly fond of poking her nose into other people's business. Throughout these years, she interfered in everything regarding Shangguan Su and Shangguan Shi, behaving as if the Shangguan family would mistreat these two children. That's why Shangguan Furong had never liked Su Lian. Su Lian frowned slightly. That Lin Fong, at first glance, doesn't look like someone who is content and suited for a family-oriented life. I would agree if she becomes the wife of the Shangguan family. But if she is to become the mother of Xiaoxiu and Xiaoxi, I would be the first to disagree. A mocking look appeared between Shangguan Furong's brows. Sister Su Lian, before you said that, did you ask Xiaoxi and Xiaoxiu how they feel? As far as I know, both of them really like Lin Fong. Her words imply that Su Lian was being nosy. After all, the main parties Shangguan Su and Shangguan Shi hadn't said anything yet. Was it Su Lian's turn to have a say? A shade of displeasure flashed across Su Lian's face. Shangguan Furong continued, "Brother, I think Lin Fong is quite good, and Xiaoxiu and Xiaoxi both seem to like her too." Su Lian chose not to say anything more. Shangguan Dehui followed up, "Let's wait until Mom and Xiaoxiu come back. I will go by Mom's decision." One was his wife's sister, and the other was his sister. It wouldn't be good for Shangguan Dehui to offend either of them. Shangguan Furong laughed and said, "I believe Mom would also like Lin Fong and Changyu." The group returned to the living room. Shangguan Furong subtly gave Lin Fong a reassuring look. Only then did Lin Fong relax. At that moment, footsteps echoed in the room. "Mom's back." Shangguan Furong stood up. Lin Fong and Changyu also stood up. The old lady of the Shangguan family had dressed specially in an elegant dress, brought by Inai Yang a couple of days ago, to meet her future daughter-in-law. Despite feeling a bit of a headache in the morning, it didn't affect her complexion. Shangguan Su held her arm as they slowly walked into the room. Since Changyu had taken an overt interest in Shangguan Su, she had been watching him all along and didn't notice the old lady of the Shangguan family beside him. Shangguan Su was very handsome. He was extraordinarily talented and elegant. He was even more impressive looking than the most desirable guy in their school, and Changyu gazed at him almost obsessively. Su Lian looked over with a dismissive gaze. A hint of displeasure flashed in her eyes. These mother and daughter really have unrestrained ambitions. She hoped that the elderly lady of the Shangguan family would see this clearly. They couldn't let these kinds of people step into the Shangguan family's threshold. Lin Fong looked at the old lady of the Shangguan family, slightly frowning. Why did she get the feeling that this old lady looked familiar? Had she seen her somewhere before? After all, they had only met at the clothing store 2 days ago, and she had been solely focused on Inai Yang at the time. She barely paid any attention to the old lady of the Shangguan family. It was normal for her to not remember her after 2 days. Could it be her imagination? A grand old lady like the one from the Shangguan family wasn't someone she would typically encounter. "Mom, this is your future daughter-in-law Lin Fong. This is her daughter, Changyu." Shangguan Furong held the old lady of the Shangguan family's arm, introducing them. In fact, even before they met, the old lady already had a good impression of Lin Fong. Otherwise, she wouldn't have dressed so formally. "Old lady." Lin Fong greeted with a smile. Only then did Changyu snap out of it, diverting her attention from Shangguan Su and said politely, "Grandma." Upon seeing her, Changyu also found the old lady of the Shangguan family somewhat familiar. Had she encountered this old lady somewhere? The old lady of the Shangguan family was advanced in age, and her eyesight wasn't so great. She hadn't gotten a good look at Lin Fong and Changyu from a distance earlier, so she now used this opportunity to take a closer look at these mother and daughter. Upon seeing them, the smile on the old lattice face froze in place. Lin Fong and Changyu might not remember her, but she vividly remembered Lin Fong and Changyu. After all, this mother and daughter were the first outrageous people she had encountered in her life, the type that nearly infuriated her to death. However, the old lady never expected that this mother and daughter would turn out to be her eagerly anticipated future daughter-in-law and granddaughter. How infuriating! The old lady suppressed her anger, her face cold. She said, "So you are Lin Po's niece, Lin Fong?" Lin Fong was somewhat perplexed by the sudden change in the grand old lattice attitude. Could it be that this old woman was mentally unstable? Chapter 523. Lin Fong and her daughter's dream of living in luxury shattered. 4. Mingming was laughing just a second ago. Even though Lin Fong didn't want to go out of her way to please someone who was ignoring her, she still had to put on a smile and woo the Shangguan family's matriarch. "Madam, my name is Lin Fong. Lin Ho Hat is my aunt," she said. Lin Fong was confident in her charm. She believed she could win over this old woman. "Madam, I heard from my aunt that you're in your 60s, going on 70s, but you don't look a day over 40 or 50, she praised. Who doesn't enjoy a good compliment? If there's one skill Lin Fong lacks not, it's flattery. She knows exactly what everyone wants to hear. It's comparable to the old saying, speak the language of the listener. If the matriarch hadn't met Lin Fong at the clothing market, she would probably have been quite fond of this eloquent potential daughter-in-law. But now, all she felt was disdain. The old lady frowned and said nothing. The smile on Lin Fang's face began to falter. Sensing the mood growing tense, Shang Guanxi hurriedly intervened. "Grandma, you must be tired after just coming back from the hospital, right? Please take a seat." While speaking, she winked at Lin Fang. "Madam," Lin Fang hastily interjected. "There's nothing seriously wrong with you, is there? When I heard you'd gone to the hospital, I was beside myself with worry." "So did you die?" asked the old lady, looking at Lin Fang. Lin Fang. The atmosphere immediately plunged into awkward silence. Even Lin Fang, who was usually so suave and adept at handling social situations, found herself struggling to keep up. Didn't the old woman, Lin, say that Shangguan Furong was the most difficult person in the Shangguan family to get along with? Why was this old woman also so difficult to deal with? Shangguan Furong was unsure why her mother had suddenly changed her tune. She had seemed quite pleased with Lin Fang initially. "Mom," Shangguan Furong began, "Lin Fang is a very filial person, and she's even brought you a gift." "That's right," Lin Fang confirmed, simultaneously unwrapping the present. "Madam, this is a garment Xiaoya picked out for you. I'm not sure if it'll fit." The old lady glanced at the garment. True to her suspicions, it was the burgundy silk shirt. Shangguan's matriarch took the shirt, and a hint of a smile played across her lips. "This shirt is made of real silk, isn't it?" Seeing that the old lady finally smiled, Lin Fang felt a wave of relief wash over her. She flattered. "Madam, you have excellent taste. This is indeed made of silk. You maintain your figure so well, I'm sure you'll look great in this shirt." Shangguan Furong hastily said, "That's true, Mom. This shirt really matches your temperament." The smile on the old lady's face quickly faded as she tossed the shirt onto the table, scoffing. "I'm just a small business owner. I can't afford such flashy clothes." At those words, Lin Fang's face drained of color, leaving her as pale as a ghost. Now she finally understood why the old woman seemed so familiar. She was the same one she'd encountered at the mall last time. Didn't they say that Enai Yang was just a small business owner with no real status or wealth? So why was she walking arm in arm with the old lady from the Shangguan family? And why were the two of them so intimate with each other? Lin Fang couldn't have imagined in her wildest dreams that the old lady she'd mocked before was none other than Shangguan's matriarch herself. If she had known that was the matriarch earlier, she would have been nothing but polite and done everything to make her happy. The reactions of Chang Yu and Lin Fang were identical. Her first thought was that she was doomed. Her second thought was that Enai Yang was trying to sabotage her. If it weren't for Enai Yang, she would never have made such a mistake. What should she do now? Baffled by the situation, Shangguan Furong asked, "Mom, what are you talking about? Why are you upset all of a sudden?" Exactly, why was she suddenly so angry? Shangguan Su and Shangguan Shi both turned their eyes to their grandmother. Even Shangguan Dahui was a bit puzzled. The old lady was usually very amiable with them, and had never been so difficult to talk to before. The matriarch waved off Shangguan Furong's hand, and turned to Shangguan Dahui. "Dahui," she declared, "I object to your association with this Lin Fang comrade." Before Shangguan Dahui could utter a word, Shangguan Furong demanded, "Mom, you must be joking, right? Lin Fang is so talented and filial. How can you possibly object to that?" Could Su Lian have been stirring the pot? Otherwise, considering the old lattice manners and etiquette, even if she truly objected, she would never humiliate Lin Fang in public. Chapter 524. Lin Fang and her daughter's dream of living in luxury shattered. 5. Shangguan Furong looked at Su Lian, a displeased light surfacing in her eyes. "Mom, I think Lin Fang and my brother make a good match. Why not finalize the date today?" If Su Lian did not agree, she would deliberately go against Su Lian. Upon hearing this, Lin Fang cast a grateful look at Shangguan Furong. She wasn't sure if Shangguan Furong could actually save her. "Do you have any right to speak here?" The old lady Shangguan looked at Shangguan Furong, her face filled with anger. Shangguan Furong suddenly fell silent, her face looking a bit unwell. Ever since she got married, The old lady Shengguan had rarely shown her any unpleasant expression. She did not expect that today she would treat her like this. The old lady Shengguan then said, "Butler." "Coming." The butler immediately walked over. "Escort out Comrade Lin Fong and her daughter. The Lin family does not welcome these kinds of people." The old lady Shengguan did not leave any face for Lin Fong and her daughter. "Yes, old lady." The butler turned to look at Lin Fong and Chang Yu. "Both of you, please." "Wait a minute." The old lady Shengguan continued. "Do you have any other orders, old lady?" The butler turned back. "Take their things as well." The old lady Shengguan continued. The butler immediately took the 2 items brought by Lin Fong. Lin Fong still felt unwilling. As she turned around, she walked over and grabbed the old lady's hand, explaining with a pale face, "The old lady, let me explain, that day it really was a misunderstanding. I am not actually." "Go away." The old lady Shengguan was not a fool. How could she tolerate Lin Fong distorting the truth again? "Butler." "Yes, old lady." The butler immediately motioned to the other servants on the side. Before Lin Fong could react, she was already dragged away by the servants. Leaving Shengguan Dehui, Shengguan Furong, Shengguan Shi, and Shengguan Su filled with doubt. But currently, the old lady Shengguan was furious, and none of them dared to speak. "Dehui, come upstairs with me." After speaking, the old lady Shengguan turned and walked toward the study room upstairs. Shengguan Dehui hurried to follow her steps. "Mom, what exactly is going on?" Shengguan Dehui hesitated before asking. The old lady Shengguan continued. "Are you asking me why I treated Lin Fong this way?" Shengguan Dehui nodded. The old lady Shengguan continued. "Then let me tell you properly, sit down first." Shengguan Dehui sat on a nearby stool. Only then did the old lady Shengguan talk about the incident that happened at the clothing market 2 days ago. "Dehui, you cannot be deceived by that Lin Fong. A woman like that is not qualified to step through the gates of our Shengguan family." At her words, Shengguan Dehui frowned slightly. "Lin Fong always appeared to be very good in front of me, showing much love and care. I really didn't think she was this kind of person." The old lady Shengguan now felt extremely relieved about her decision to go to the clothing market that day. Otherwise, they would not have discovered that Lin Fong and her daughter were these kinds of people. "It's not too late to know. It's better to break off with her early." Shengguan Dehui nodded. "You can rest assured about this." The old lady Shengguan rubbed her temples. "All right, you can go downstairs now. I need to rest." Shengguan Dehui walked downstairs. As soon as he went downstairs, everyone eagerly surrounded him. "Bro, what did Mom tell you? What did she mean? How did Lin Fong offend her to make her so angry? Or is someone intentionally causing discord?" The last sentence had some biting implication attached. Su Lian was somewhat unhappy, but she did not stoop down to Furong's level. Shengguan Dehui said, "Furong, watch your tone. No one is causing discord on purpose. This is Mom's own decision, and considering Lin Fang's character, she truly does not deserve to be the wife of our Shengguan family." Shengguan Shi, confused, said, "Dad, what exactly happened? What did Auntie Lin do wrong?" Shengguan Dehui then relayed the incident mentioned by the old lady Shengguan. Upon hearing this, the room fell silent. After a while, Shengguan Shi finally spoke. So Aunt Lin is that kind of person. I really didn't see it coming." Lady Shengguan was neither deaf nor blind, and she wouldn't speak without reason. Could it be that Mother has misunderstood? Didn't Lin Fong herself say that there's been a misunderstanding? Mother, really, she didn't even let Lin Fong explain. How can you be so arbitrary? Shengguan Furong asserted. Lin Fong, this sister-in-law, was quite pleasing to Shengguan Fufong's eyes. First, her family background was admirable, as was her work. Secondly, she knew how to get along with people. She knew who were her own and who were outsiders. People like Su Lian were outsiders to her. Shengguan Furong cared a lot about her position in the Shengguan family. She didn't want Shengguan Dehui to marry a woman who didn't regard her highly. What if that woman was domineering? Then would she not have any say in the Shengguan family? Mother is not that kind of person. Shengguan Dehui added, "Let's put an end to this matter. I will also explain it to Lin Fong." After all, Shengguan Dehui didn't have any emotional attachment towards Lin Fong. With such a thing happening, it had rather eased Shengguan Dehui's mind. At least, old lady Shengguan wouldn't hurriedly push him for quite some time. Brother, are you just giving up on Lin Fong? Shengguan Furong wasn't quite ready to give in. Shengguan Dehui simply nodded. Dehui, I'm very glad that you see the reality. Su Lian walked over from the side. I've been saying that Lin Fong is not a good person. Shengguan Furong couldn't stand Su Lian's smug expression at her success. Sister Su Lian, are you happy now? I'm just being honest. Of course, I'm naturally happy to keep Xiaoxiu and Xiaoxi away from such a terrible stepmother. Su Lian's family background was not bad either. She was not afraid of Shengguan Furong. She just didn't bother to quarrel with Shengguan Furong, because she knew Shengguan Furong, as an aunt, truly cared for Shengguan Su and Shengguan Shi. Shengguan Furong simply couldn't stand her, but since she didn't live in the Shengguan house, she didn't need to take it to heart. The more Shengguan Furong thought about it, the more outraged she felt. I think Lin Fong is quite suitable to be my sister-in-law. I'll go upstairs and talk to my mother now. Lady Shengguan had this one precious daughter, and usually, she listened to her daughter's words the most. Beijing is a very inclusive city, and it is home to people from all over the country. Although it was Wednesday, there was no shortage of people queuing up to apply for passports. Na Yang had been in the queue for more than an hour, and there were still about 20 or 30 people in front of her. Na Tsuehua sat on the bench nearby, holding little Na Yin in her arms, waiting for her. Little girl, what's the relation between that woman holding the kid and you? The middle-aged woman in line behind Na Yang curiously asked her. That's my mother, and the baby she's holding is my sister. Na Yang replied. The middle-aged woman was startled, then said, no wonder you guys look so alike. Turns out you're mother and daughter. Yes. Na Yang nodded. You're also going to M country? The middle-aged woman continued. Yes. I'm also going to M country. The middle-aged woman excitedly said. We're really destined to meet, my girl. You must be going to M country to study abroad, aren't you? I'm going to M country to visit my son. This was the period when studying abroad was becoming popular. Rich families would choose to send their children to get an overseas experience, even if studying in a lesser-known college overseas was much better than studying in a famous college at home. Those were returnees. Could average college graduates compete with them? The middle-aged woman saw that Na Yang was pretty and dressed well, so she guessed that Na Yang was definitely going abroad to study. Na Yang faintly smiled. We're not studying abroad. Then what are you guys going abroad for? We're going abroad for a vacation. Na Yang replied softly. Chapter 525. My son has gone abroad, he is so amazing. _1 Going abroad for a vacation. At this time, although the trend of going overseas was just emerging, most people were going to work or study abroad. Those who went for a vacation were really few. That's why when Na Yin just said she wasn't going for studies, the older woman subconsciously thought she was going to work abroad. It was really something to lament about, thinking how she was going out to work at such a young age. Turns out she's going for a vacation. The middle-aged woman went on. Little girl, you are really a good and filial daughter. When are you planning to depart? Na Yin smiled and said, we're probably leaving the day after tomorrow. The middle-aged woman said, if nothing unexpected happens, I might also be on the plane the day after tomorrow. If we happen to meet, we can go together. Na Yin nodded, sure. The crowd gradually surged, and it was the middle-aged woman's turn soon, followed by Na Yan's. Not only Na Tsuehua and Na Yin needed to get their passports, little Na Yin also had to receive hers. Getting a passport requires taking photos. This was the first time Na Tsuehua was getting photographed. She was a bit nervous seeing the others take photos, not knowing where to put her hands. Na Yin took little Na Yin from Na Kuihua's arms. Mom, it's just a photo, you don't need to be nervous. Not nervous. Na Tsuehua nodded, walking to the light blue curtain. Smile, the photographer reminded. Na Tsuehua smiled. Age 37, she had taken good care of herself over the past year. Her skin appeared smooth and moisturized, her figure also well-toned. wearing a light blue plaid suit with black pants. She didn't look her age. You wouldn't think she's the mother of 2 children. Yes, 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 just like that. Hold that pose. The camera captured the perfect moment. The photographer also silently admired Nai Quihua's beauty. Nai Tsuehua quickly came out to replace Nai Yen. The photographer, who was still in awe over Nai Quihua's beauty, was stunned when he saw Nai Yen. Oh my goodness! She is so beautiful. Just sitting there, her face needs no expression to be the most appealing sight. After Nai Yen left, the photographer and the staff discussed. The young lady just now was so beautiful. What's her name? The staff checked the file in his hand. Her name is Nai Yen. The woman who took photos before her seems to be her mother. No wonder both mother and daughter are so beautiful. It's probably what they call genes in biology. After successfully completing their passports, the mother and daughter left the police station. Nai Yen brought Nai Tsuehua to the home appliance market. Yang, why are we here? Nai Tsuehua was a bit curious. To buy a camera. Nai Yen replied. Why do we need that? To take photos. Nai Yen grinned. Mom, we're going on a vacation. Of course, we should buy a camera. Nai Tsuehua nodded. This store seems pretty good. Nai Tsuehua followed Nai Yen inside. Because both mother and daughter were well dressed and very beautiful, they received a very warm welcome as soon as they entered. Ladies, please come inside. Are you looking to buy a camera? The shop assistant was a young man. Nai Yen nodded. Do you have Nikon cameras? Seagull cameras, which originated in the early 1950s, are country products with excellent resolution and are the most popular cameras of this era. Yes, we do. The employee continued. Is this for family or professional use? Show me your newest model. Said Nai Yen. The newest model? This young lady seems pretty wealthy. The shop assistant immediately brought out the newest model. This is Nikon's newest model FM2, small and easy to carry, great resolution. If you decide to purchase it, we can throw in a camera bag. Nikon FM2 is seriously every camera enthusiast's dream in the 80s. How much is this? Nai Tsuehua asked. This is 3,800 yuan. 3,800 yuan? This figure somewhat scared Nai Tsuehua. She initially thought the camera would cost 700 to 1,000 yuan at most. She didn't expect it to be as expensive as 3,800 yuan. By the way, do you have any foreign exchange coupons? The shop assistant continued to ask. During this period, free trade for imported goods was not implemented. They were only purchasable with foreign exchange coupons. The foreign exchange coupons were only recalled and ceased usage in 1995. Yes. Nai Yen nodded. Although foreign exchange coupons were hard to come by in this era, Mo Qishan had connections, so Nai Yen didn't lack foreign exchange coupons. Chapter 526. My son has gone abroad, he is so amazing. Underscored. Let me take a look at the camera. Nai Yang continued. The employee handed over the camera to Nai Yang. The Nikon FM2's body is indeed quite compact. It has very clear pixels, and can take both black and white and color pictures. Nai Yang made the payment to the employee after confirming that the camera was all right. Stepping out of the store, Nai Yang randomly took a few shots of the street, then turned to Nai Tsuehua and said, Mom, I'll take a picture of you and Yunyan too. There's nothing worth photographing. Nai Tsuehua was a bit embarrassed. Just one picture, it's no big deal. Nai Yang lifted the camera and took a shot. Nai Yang then put the camera around Nai Quihua's neck and took little Nai Yin from her. Mom, can you take a picture of Yunyan and me? Nai Tsuehua laughingly said. I don't know how to. Nai Yang replied. I'll teach you, it's very simple. Cameras from the 80s only had 2 functions, taking photos and recording videos. Nai Tsuehua, being an intelligent woman, learned it in a single attempt. Yang, move a bit to the side, and Yunyan, give us a smile. Little Nai Yin immediately broke into a grin. After taking the picture, Nai Tsuehua exclaimed, People nowadays are really capable, they even invented cameras. Nai Yang laughed. Cameras were not invented recently, they've been around since the late Qing dynasty. The first one was just a light-proof box. In 1906, American George Shiras was the first to use a flashlight, and in 1913, a German man by the name of Oskar Barnack developed the world's first 135 camera. Enai Tsuehua exclaimed in surprise. So cameras existed even before I was born? Yes. Enai Young nodded. Enai Tsuehua had only known about farming in the first half of her life. She was completely unaware of China's rapid development. If it hadn't been for her family making her work in the fields to earn work points, she might have had her feet bound. After buying the camera, Enai Yin went to 4 noodle restaurants and a milk tea shop, collected the day's earnings, and went to deposit it at the bank. Miss Enai has arrived. The teller was already familiar with Enai Yang. Sister Tian. The counter lady, Tian Saixia, was 22 years old, a little older than Enai Yang. Are you making a deposit today? Tian Saixia asked. Yes. Enai Yang handed the inconspicuous plastic bag to Tian Saixia. Enai Yang was probably the most calm depositor Tian Saixia had ever seen. Every time she came to deposit, she would carry the money in an old plastic bag, as if it was filled with useless waste paper instead of money. Unlike some other depositors who, even with only a few hundred yuan, would wrap their money in several layers, their level of anxiety made it seem like everyone was out to rob them. After counting all the money, Tian Saixia continued. Miss Enai, there's a total of 40,000 yuan. Yes. Enai Yang nodded. Also help me exchange 3,000 yuan into USD. So that's 24,000 yuan in RMB? Tian Saixia asked uncertainly. Yes. After exchanging the money into USD, Tian Saixia asked further. Miss Enai, are you planning a trip to M country? Enai Yang gave a slight smile. Yes, I'm planning to go for a few days. Tian Saixia expressed her jealousy. It's so good to be rich. You can travel wherever you want. Although Enai Yang was a private enterprise owner, she was richer than any of those with a secure job. Those with stable jobs may seem better off and respected, but they are not as free as individual entrepreneurs. Furthermore, Tian Saixia had a gut feeling that in the future, people's perception of individual entrepreneurs would definitely change. Lin Feng didn't know how she got home. She was devastated, seeing herself on the verge of marrying into a wealthy family. Yet such a thing had to happen at a crucial moment. It's all your fault, you wretched girl. If it wasn't for you picking on that entrepreneur, would Madame Shengguan have such a big issue with me? I've told you many times, don't stir up trouble. If you want to make trouble for yourself, at least don't drag me into it. Furious, Lin Feng slapped Chang Yu hard across the face. Chang Yu's face immediately turned red and swollen from the slap, making a horrifying sight. It's all Enai Yang's fault, blame that little bitch. Holding her face, Chang Yu angrily cursed at Enai Yang, blaming all her failures on her. If it wasn't for Enai Yang, she would never have offended Madame Shengguan. And you dare to blame others. Lin Feng landed another slap on Chang Yu's other cheek. If it wasn't for you, I would be discussing marriage with Shengguan de Hui now. Chapter 527. My son has gone abroad, he is so amazing. _3. Lin Feng is such a person. When nothing happens, she is as kind as a loving mother could be. But when things go wrong, she turns her back on everyone. If it harms Lin Feng's interests, even a mother-daughter relationship won't prevent her from being merciless. I'm sorry, Mom, I'm sorry. Blood trickled from Chang Yu's mouth, distorting her words. Go stand facing the wall and reflect on your actions. Lin Feng pointed at the wall. Go now. Chang Yu walked to the wall, knelt down, and began to self-reflect. At that moment, there was a knock on the door. Lin Feng tidied her hair and went to open the door. The visitor was Grandma Lin, who couldn't wait to say, Feng Feng, what happened? Is the matter settled? It's off. Lin Feng's face looked very unpleasant. Off. Grandma Lin was amazed. It was supposed to be a done deal. Why would it fall through? With that said, she noticed Chang Yu kneeling by the wall and asked, Why is Xiaoya still kneeling there? Have you punished her? You ask her yourself what good things she has done. Grandma Lin sighed. No matter what she has done, you can't punish her like this. As she said this, she walked up to Chang Yu and exclaimed in surprise, What happened to Xiaoya's face? Fong Fong, did you hit her? Hitting her was a light punishment. I wish I could throttle her. Lin Fong was burning with anger and couldn't control her temper. You can't say such things. Grandma Lin helped Changyu up and reassured her. Get up, Xiaoya. Don't be afraid. Your mom is just joking. Without Lin Fong giving the order, Changyu didn't dare to get up. Grandma Lin went on. Fong Fong, what exactly happened? You ask her. Lin Fong sneered at Changyu. Xiaoya, tell Aunt Grandma, what exactly happened? Grandma Lin looked at Changyu. Changyu only cried and refused to utter a word. How was she supposed to explain? It was Ni Yang who wanted to harm her, but Lin Fong didn't believe her and even beat her. Why won't Ni Yang just die? Lin Fong angrily said. Just now weren't you asking me why things fell through? It's all thanks to this damned girl. Lin Fong wished she could slap Changyu again. Grandma Lin said. Fong Fong, calm down, let's talk slowly. As far as she saw it, how could a child's mistake affect the dealings between adults? The Shangguan family was probably trying to scare Lin Fong. Once she apologized to Grandma Shangguan, everything would be fine again. After all, the Shangguan family had been so satisfied with Lin Fong before. Under Grandma Lin's persuasion, Lin Fong gradually calmed down. Auntie, I'm even embarrassed to talk about this incident. This wretched girl truly is a menace. Speak up, then I can figure out what to do. Lin Fong sighed and recounted the incident that happened in the clothing market. Hearing the course of events again made Changyu tremble with anger. Grandma Lin's face also darkened. It wouldn't be too bad if they offended anyone else in the Shangguan family, but they had to offend Grandma Shangguan of all people. Disastrous. You really messed things up. Grandma Lin continued, but it not entirely Xiaoya's fault. You're the one to blame. Xiaoya is still just a kid and sometimes can't control her emotions, but you're an adult. Rather than stopping Xiaoya's impudence, you went along with it. Now that there is a problem, you want to shift the blame onto Xiaoya. Is this how a mother should behave? Lin Fang's face turned pale. Grandma Lin continued. Since it has already happened, it's no use regretting it now. By the way, what is Shangguan Dihui's attitude now? Did he say anything to you? Lin Fang replied. What can he say? Of course he sides with that old lady. Grandma Lin frowned slightly. Having been together with Shangguan Dihui for so long, don't the two of you have any feelings for each other? Lin Fang remained silent. She and Shangguan Dihui hadn't even held hands before. How could they have any feelings for each other? Lin Fang knew very well that the only thing Shangguan Dihui valued about her was her virtuous and gentle disposition. Didn't anyone in the Shangguan family speak up for you? Didn't you explain to Grandma Shangguan? That old lady wouldn't listen to me at all. But Shangguan Furong did say a few things in my favor. Upon hearing this, hope sprang up in Grandma Lin's eyes. Then this matter might have a turning point. Are you free tomorrow morning? Chapter 528. My son has gone abroad, he is so amazing. _4. Yes. Lin Fang nodded. Old Lady Lin continued. Tomorrow morning, bring the ice-skin jade along. We'll pay a visit to Shangguan Furong's house together. Hearing this, Lin Fang immediately found her backbone. All right, Auntie, I'll listen to you. Old Lady Lin nodded. You're not allowed to hit children anymore, do you understand? Lin Fang sighed. Xiaoya is my daughter. You think I wanted to hit her? I was just too angry. No matter how angry you are, you cannot hit your child in such a way. Old Lady Lin said. Okay, I get it. Lin Fang went over to help Changyu up, looking at her swollen face. With a twinge of heartache, she asked, Xiaoya, are you okay? I'm okay. Changyu shook her head. The next day, accompanied by Old Lady Lin, Lin Fang paid a visit to the Zhao family home. Shangguan Furong's husband's family, the Zhao family, were also wealthy. Their villa was no less splendid than the Shangguan family's residence. After the servant announced their arrival, Old Lady Lin and Lin Fang waited for quite some time before meeting Shangguan Furong. Old Lady Lin, what brings you here? Shangguan Furong emerged from her house. Furong. Lin Fang immediately approached. Shangguan Furong looked up at Lin Fang, her eyes revealing disappointment at Lin Fang's lack of coping skills. She had high hopes for her sister-in-law. Lin Fong was beautiful, her family background was good, her job was decent, and she was good at being sociable. Who would know that Lin had managed to upset the matriarch of the Shangguan family? Shangguan Furong tried to mediate for a long time, but the old lady was not giving in. She was at a loss for what to do. Shangguan Furong did not mince words. If you're here about that matter, you might as well not mention it. My mother has made up her mind. 10 oxen could not pull it back. Old Lady Lin laughed. In all of Beijing, who doesn't know that the old lady listens to you? If you put in a few good words for us, perhaps the old lady might agree. This statement was somewhat flattering, and Shangguan Furong was very pleased to hear it. It's useless, although my mother listens to me. She's not a puppet on a string, and won't listen to everything I say. Old Lady Lin sighed. In reality, Xiaoye was under the influence of others that day. She's not usually like that. Could you help explain a bit? Whether the old lady listens or not doesn't matter, just as long as you help clarify things. Fong Fong is too innocent. If I had been there yesterday, I would not have let the old lady have such a deep misunderstanding. For this matter, we're counting on you. We're leaving first. Old Lady Lin put the gift box of ice skin jade on the table and led Lin Fong out. Wait, Shangguan Furong spoke again. Old Lady Lin and Lin Fong stopped in their tracks. Take your stuff with you. Shangguan Furong indicated the gift box on the table. Old Lady Lin laughed. Once a gift is given, how could it be taken back? Please accept it, even if Fong Fong can't become your sister-in-law. You two could still become friends. Although Shangguan Furong quite liked ice skin jade, she knew when to be practical. Take it back. I don't like repeating things several times. If she accepted the gift, it would change the nature of the conversation. Hearing this, Old Lady Lin had no choice but to take the gift box back. A fleeting shadow passed over Lin Fang's eyes. Watching their retreating figures, Shangguan Furong spoke again. Regarding my mother, I will try to explain a few things for you. As for whether it will work, that's up to my mother. Shangguan Furong was truly satisfied with Lin Fong, because Lin Fong was easy to control. In this day and age, it was quite difficult to find such a pliable person. Her previous sister-in-law, Su Fun, had not been so accommodating, which was why Shangguan Furong didn't like her very much. Lin Fong was overjoyed. Thank you, Furong. Shangguan Furong said. Until things are settled, you should call me Mrs. Zhao. A hint of embarrassment flashed across Lin Fang's face. All right, Mrs. Zhao. As the two of them left the Zhao family home, Lin Fong turned to Old Lady Lin. Auntie, do you think there's still hope for this matter? It's hard to say. Old Lady Lin said. Judging by Shangguan Furong's attitude, the old Mrs. Shangguan is truly angry this time. Lin Fong sighed. Old Lady Lin continued. Don't be too upset. I'll keep an eye out for other prospects for you during this time. We can't hang ourselves on one tree. Lin Fong nodded. With Lin Fang's current conditions, it would not be difficult for her to marry, but if she wanted to find another wealthy family like the Shangguans, it would be a bit more challenging. Chapter 529. My son has gone abroad. He is so amazing. _5. Today was the day before Enai Yang's departure abroad, so she decided to cook a grand dinner. After all, it would be hard to get authentic Chinese food overseas. She was riding her bike home when she bumped into Gooden's sister, Li Ronghua. Li Ronghua was 22 years old this year. She stopped attending school after the first year of junior high due to poor grades when she was 14. Currently, she managed Enai Yang's third skincare store. Her family's financial conditions had improved, and she dressed more stylishly with a red blazer, black leggings, a pair of little leather shoes, and a high ponytail, looking spirited and beautiful. The store manager's salary was 105 yuan per month. Even her friends who graduated from university couldn't earn a salary that high. Li Ronghua was truly grateful to Enai Yang. Yang, Sister Ronghua. Enai Yang firmly applied her bike brakes and jumped off. Yang, didn't you say you were going to M country? Why haven't you left yet? Asked Li Ronghua. Enai Yang answered with a smile. The plane is at 9:30 tomorrow morning. An airplane. Li Ronghua revealed a longing look. I have never been on a plane before. Yang, when you return, You must describe to me what it feels like to be on a plane. Sure. And I Young nodded. By the way, Yang, could you do me a favor? Asked Li Ronghua. Just tell me, Sister Ronghua. Li Ronghua continued. My boyfriend always wanted a Parker pen. It's not available for purchase here in our country. Could you help me buy one from M country? Here is 200 yuan, take it with you. If it's not enough, I will cover the rest when you return. Parker pens from M country were quite renowned, and a dream come true for many university students. Li Ronghua's boyfriend was a university student. She really loved him, or else she wouldn't be willing to spend 200 yuan. Over the years, she had subsidized her boyfriend a significant sum of money, and I Yang accepted the money. All right, I'll keep an eye out for it. Thank you, Yang. And I Yang continued. By the way, Sister Ronghua, what year is your boyfriend in now? He has repeated 2 years and is now a sophomore. Li Ronghua answered. Oh, and I Yang nodded. You really treat your boyfriend well, Sister Ronghua. Li Ronghua happily laughed. My boyfriend treats me very well too. And I Yang continued. If you gave him such an expensive pen, he must have given you many things too, hasn't he? 200 yuan. Li Ronghua wasn't even that generous towards her own parents usually. Li Ronghua casually said. He's still a student. What money could he possibly have? But he has promised me that once he graduates and finds a job, he'll give me the best things in the world. Li Ronghua continued. All right, Yang, I won't keep you. My boyfriend and I agreed to meet at the city library. As she finished her comment, Li Ronghua hurried off. And I Yang continued to ride her bike. Once she was home, and I Yang started preparing dinner. She planned to cook roasted chicken, sour soup with enoki mushrooms, boiled meat, hot and sour cucumbers, fried shrimp with green peas, and boiled carrots with mushrooms in the evening. In particular, fried shrimp with green peas was a breast-enhancing dish. Sour soup with enoki mushrooms helped prevent ulcers in the stomach and intestines. The iron content in enoki mushrooms was 20 times that of spinach, and its high fiber content facilitated metabolism. Boiled carrots with mushrooms was an excellent dish for slimming and weight loss. The Compendium of Materia Medica had once stated that carrots could rid the body of illness, nourishing the body. They were good for the heart, stomach, and viscera, as well as induced a good appetite. When cooked with mushrooms, the dish was effective in slimming and losing weight. Since she was about to leave the country, her last meal at home not only needed to taste good but also needed to be nutritious. The changes brought about by the nourishment of food and skincare over the year were palpable not only on Enai Tsuehua and Enai Chengue, but also were immensely impactful. If she hadn't seen them every day, Enai Yang would have almost thought they were completely different people. Of course, the change in Enai Yang herself was not insignificant. During dinner, Enai Tsuehua had even opened a bottle of white wine and drank to toast a few glasses with Enai Chengue. The next morning, Enai Yang and Enai Tsuehua left the house with her luggage. Chirp! Just as they stepped out, Duo flew onto Enai Yang's shoulder and rubbed its little head against Enai Yang's chin, as if showing affection. Duo, be good, go back. We will be back soon. Auntie and I will feed you in the meantime. Chapter 530. My son has gone abroad, he is so amazing. _6. Chirp chirp. It was as if Duo was being grumpy. Pets are not allowed on the plane. Once they are, I'll bring you along for a trip, okay? Duo rubbed against Enai Yang's chin again, looking as if it were wrong tremendously. I'll bring you premium bird feed when I return. Upon hearing premium bird feed, Duo's pair of glossy little eyes instantly lit up. It spread its wings, flew up high, and let out a few happy chirps. You should head back now. Enai Yang waved at it. But Duo did not go back immediately. It only followed Enai Yang to the village entrance. There was a black car parked at the village entrance, with Wu Daming sitting in the driver's seat. Since Mo Qishan wasn't in the country, the task of driving Enai Yang to the airport fell on Wu Daming. Wu Daming. Enai Yang walked up and knocked on the car door. Wu Daming got out of the car by opening the door and took over the suitcase from Enai Yang. Sister-in-law, you and auntie are so early. I thought you guys would leave later. The plane was at 9:30, and it wasn't even 7 yet. Enai Yang smiled and said, It's better to arrive early than to miss the flight. I'm sorry for troubling you with the driving. Sister-in-law, you're too polite. My brother specifically asked me to take care of you before he left. Actually, there wasn't much for him to take care of with Yang. She could drive herself. She could earn her own money. Before encountering Yang, Wu Daming never knew that a girl could be so capable. Sometimes he even suspected that Yang was a boy. Goodbye, Duo. Before closing the car door, Yang waved at Duo, who was flying in midair. Chirp chirp. Duo was spinning circles on the top of the car. Tsuehua, holding little Yin, said, Yun, let's also say goodbye to Duo. Upon hearing this, little Yin immediately waved at Duo. Wu Daming joked, this bird sure is smart. It wasn't long before the car arrived at the airport. Yang handed the camera to Wu Daming. Wu Daming, can you take a picture for us in front of the airport? Having been reincarnated once, Yang knew how precious these days were. She wanted to remember each moment in her own way. Oh, sister-in-law, you bought a camera. Holy moly, an FM2. I've always wanted this camera, but it's too expensive for me to afford. When's your birthday? Yang asked casually. Without thinking, Wu Daming answered, September 8th. Oh. Yang nodded. As Wu Daming was fiddling with the camera, he said, Sister-in-law, pose with a sign. Yang struck the classic scissors sign. The scissors gesture became popular in 1941, first used by Winston Churchill in a speech, expressing the determination to win. That's perfect. Wu Daming took a few shots. Yang took the camera back. Thanks a bunch, Wu Daming. It was only 8:30 then, still an hour until boarding time. So Yang and Tsuehua made themselves comfortable in the waiting area. There were a lot of people in the waiting area. Little Yin was at the airport for the first time, extremely excited, continuously babbling, but nobody understood what she was saying. Yang was sitting in the third row, and could clearly hear the conversation of two aunties nearby. My son is really amazing. He's a sophomore at the foreign language university, and there are countless girls throwing themselves at him. Look, this bracelet I'm wearing, it was a gift from that little girl. Chapter 531. Arrived in M country, seeking medical help _1 really? Another aunt appears skeptical. What a question. Do you think I'd lie about something like this? Never mind the single pearl. She even paid for my son's tuition and miscellaneous fees. Otherwise, where would I get the money to take a flight? There was a hint of bragging in her voice. The other aunt seemed even more incredulous. Even though extravagant dowries were not expected anymore, having a woman going out of her way to pay for a man was unheard of. It's not like she can't get married. Isn't this simply degrading oneself? You still don't believe it? The short-haired aunt continued. She's visiting our home next month, surely bringing a pile of gifts along. You should come and see for yourself. She wasn't lying. Her son was indeed capable. She was filled with pride that he had a woman willingly offering herself to him. So this young girl is now your son's girlfriend? The short-haired aunt answered proudly. At first, my son wasn't willing to accept her, but she was so persistent he felt compelled to agree. The other aunt expressed her admiration. Your son really has quite the skills. Indeed. That's why education matters. My son, aside from being a university student, is also handsome. If we were in ancient times, he would likely have 3 wives and 4 concubines. Just last week, she bought my son a pair of sneakers worth 68 yuan. That is equivalent to a month's salary for an ordinary worker. Quite a significant expense indeed. The young girl's family must be wealthy? Wealthy. They're just a poor 3-generation family of peasants. There was a strong hint of disdain in her voice. And she still treats your son so well? Doesn't she like my son? Of course, she must treat him well. If he discards her, what can she do? It's all because her son is capable. The other aunt threw her an envious look. Listening to this conversation, Yang furrowed her brows, her thoughts involuntarily drifting to Li Ronghua. Li Ronghua was great to her boyfriend, but would she end up in the same situation, throwing herself at his family? Sometime later, the airport broadcast announced boarding. Yang accompanied Tsuehua to check their tickets. Although little Anai Yin didn't need a ticket, considering the long flight, and to not inconvenience the other passengers, Anai Yang also bought a ticket for little Anai Yun. 3 seats were in a row on the plane, conveniently allowing little Anai Yun to sit in the middle. As the plane took off, the huge thrust created a discomforting sensation of ringing and pain in the ears. Anai Tsuehua turned pale with fear. Is the plane going to fall from the sky? Mom, don't worry, this is just the imbalance of pressure inside and outside the middle ear. It'll pass soon. Anai Yang comforted Anai Tsuehua, and as if on cue, the plane started to stabilize. Anai Tsuehua was still somewhat worried. The thought of the plane suddenly falling from such a height was terrifying. It's too horrifying. Mom, look outside the window. At her words, Anai Tsuehua turned her gaze out of the window. The outside view was spectacular with a clear blue sky and fluffy white clouds, creating an irresistible urge to fling open the window and rush out. Anai Tsuehua never imagined that she'd be on a plane one day. There is an old saying, why don't you just go to heaven? And now she was literally in the heavens. It's so beautiful. The scenery outside successfully distracted Anai Tsuehua from her fear of the plane crashing. Anai Yang took off little Anai Yun's shoes, allowing her to stand barefoot on the seat and look out the window. Even though the view was magnificent, it could become monotonous after a while. Barely an hour later, the cabin was filled with light snores. The flight to M country took a total of 12 hours. When Anai Yang woke up, it was mealtime. The airplane offered free lunch. It wasn't until 6:30 a.m. local time that they arrived at the Miami airport. Shisua Island was only 40 kilometers away, but since they couldn't book a hotel online, they would have to take a cab and find a hotel locally once they exited the airport. Luckily, Anai Yang had visited Shisua Island several times in her past life and wasn't unfamiliar with it. Even though the Shisua Island in this life was somewhat different from the one in her past, the general routes remained the same. Chapter 532, Arrived in M country, seeking medical help _2. Influenced by the invasion war, M country was much more prosperous than China during this period. Standing on the streets of Miami, Anai Yang had the illusion of returning to the future world. Being a coastal city, tall coconut trees were planted on both sides of the highway, along with wide tar roads, and youths in mini ultra-short skirts and denim attires with dirty braids. This was the first time Anai Tsuehua had seen foreigners. Holding little Anai Yun, she softly asked Anai Yang, Yang, why are some foreigners so black and some are so white? Anai Yang explained. M country became independent in 1776. Before that, it was a colony of Y country, populated by the descendants of people from Y country, D country, F country, and Spain. These descendants all have white skin. But at this time, black people from F continent were shipped to North America by European colonizers to be slaves on southern plantations. These people are the ancestors of Africans in M country, so black people usually don't have much status in M country. Even in the future, M country still had very serious racial discrimination. Anai Tsuehua nodded. Oh, I see. Mom, let's hail a cab in front. Anai Yang held a suitcase in one hand, and Anai Tsuehua's arm in the other. There were many taxis on the streets of M country. Anai Yang quickly flagged one down. The driver, a blonde, blue-eyed white man, was planning to overcharge Anai Yang when he saw that she and Anai Tsuehua were Asians. However, Anai Yang's first words made him eat his words. Anai Yang spoke fluent and authentic American English, even more standard than the broadcasters on the radio. Please go to Arizona's Peggy Lee Hotel. All right. The driver was stunned for a moment, and then started the engine, abandoning his plan to overcharge Anai Yang smoothly. Both Anai Tsuehua and little Anai Yin dozed off after sitting on the plane for more than 10 hours. On the road, the driver, out of curiosity, asked, Excuse me, ladies, can I ask which country you are coming from? Our country or H country? Anai Yang gave a faint smile. None of the above. None of the above. The driver was taken aback. If it's none of the above, where are they from? He remembered that's what Asians look like. We're from China. Anai Yang continued. China. The driver expressed in surprise. In this era, Most M country residents' impressions of China were still stuck in the sick man of East Asia period. The driver was genuinely surprised to discover that Enai Yang was Chinese. It can't be denied that mother and daughter, Enai Tsuehua and Enai Yang, renewed his understanding of Chinese people. Enai Yang nodded. "Oh my God, your English is too good," the driver exclaimed. "Thank you for the praise." The driver continued. "Are you ladies planning to settle down in M country? Otherwise, how could your English be so good?" "No." Enai Yang shook her head. "This is our first time in M country." The driver was even more surprised. About an hour later, the car arrived at the destination. The driver enthusiastically took out the suitcases from the trunk and helped them to the hotel's front desk. Besides the cab fare, Enai Yang also tipped him $1 as everyone in M country had a habit of tipping. "Thank you, beautiful ladies. God bless you." The driver took off his hat and bowed slightly. "I don't understand a single word this M country person is saying." Enai Tsuehua looked a bit troubled. Despite being literate back home, she inevitably felt blind here. Going blind was one thing, now she couldn't even understand what they were saying. They speak English. It's normal for you not to understand. Is English easy to learn? Enai Tsuehua asked. Would you like to learn? I want to give it a try. Humans only realize how insignificant they are when they get out and see the world. Enai Yang laughed. If summarized, English has just 26 letters, which is a lot simpler than Chinese. If you want to learn it, I can teach you when we return home. Starting to learn English seriously is much easier than Chinese. English words are simple, unlike Chinese words, which have multiple pronunciations, homophones, simplified characters, borrowed words, and so on. The current Chinese character library contains 91,251 characters. In contrast, English has just 26 letters. Okay. Enai Tsuehua nodded. They smoothly booked a double bedroom at the front desk, and the attendant led the mother and daughter to their Sevu room on the 5th floor. Chapter 533. Arrived in M country, seeking medical help _3. The room of 20 square meters was carpeted and adorned with famous paintings hanging on the wall, exemplifying a modern style. Mom, let's rest at the hotel for a day and go out sightseeing tomorrow, Enai Yang proposed. All right. Enai Tsuehua had no objection, given that they just had a tiring day of travel. Jinghua village. Just as Enai Yang had gone out, two bearded old men knocked at the gate of the Enai family's courtyard. Although both Enai Tsuehua and Enai Yang had gone abroad, there were still employees working at the Enai residence. The factory was established behind the small courtyard of the Enai family. Upon hearing the knock, the person in charge ran over to open the door immediately. The person in charge was a middle-aged woman, Yang Shaowan, who got along well with Enai Tsuehua. Yang Shaowan looked at the visitors warily. Who are you looking for? May I ask where Comrade Enai Yang is? Asked one of the white-bearded old men. If Enai Yang were present, this white-bearded old man would have been Dr. Wang Yili, who had treated Yang Guobao in the past. After curing Yang Guobao's epilepsy, Dr. Wang had sought to learn medical skills from Enai Yang. Enai Yang was a very generous person. She did not conceal or withhold her medical skills, and Wang Yili greatly admired her. This admiration led them to become close friends, with no difference in their ages. Yang is not at home. Do you need her for something? Yang Shaowan continued. Wang Yili replied. My surname is Wang. I run a traditional Chinese medicine clinic in Beijing. I came to see Comrade Enai Yang previously, and I need to see her urgently now. Do you know when she will be back? Yang Shaowan continued. Yang went to M country for a trip yesterday. We don't know when she'll return. She's gone to M country? Wang Yili was somewhat surprised. A look of disappointment appeared on the face of the old man standing next to Wang Yili. It's really unfortunate. Why would she suddenly go to M country? Yes. Yang Shaowan nodded. What did she say when she left? Wang Yili asked immediately after. Yang Shaowan said. She didn't say much. I think it'll be at least half a month before she can return. It would have been good if you had come a day earlier. All right, sorry to bother you. With no other choice, Wang Yili could only leave temporarily with another elderly man. This elderly man was Wang Yili's younger brother by 1 year named Wang Yizhong. Wang Yizhong anxiously asked, "What should we do now? Brother, do you know any other reliable peers you can recommend?" Wang Yili replied, "Don't worry. Aside from medical skills, traditional Chinese medicine also emphasizes a bond between the doctor and the patient. If the foreign woman cannot hold on until Comrade Yang returns, it means that it's her fate. Brother, why don't you come to take a look? Maybe you have a way." Wang Yizhong suggested. Wang Yili shook his head. The only person who has the potential to cure this disease is Comrade Yang. Wang Yili only regretted not learning more from Yang at that time. Although he takes pride in his high medical skills, the culture of traditional Chinese medicine is vast and profound and learning is endless. Then he added, at this time, finding more Chinese medical practitioners would only make that Mr. Abner more skeptical about the capabilities of traditional Chinese medicine. Upon hearing this, Wang Yizhong's expression darkened. Then what should we do now? You don't know how those foreigners mock Chinese medicine. Especially that girl named Miss G. She doesn't take Chinese medicine seriously. Mentioning Miss G made Wang Yizhong angry. Even though she was Chinese, she belittled the centuries-old Chinese medical culture. Wait. Wang Yili squinted his eyes. What if the patient can't wait any longer? Wang Yili helplessly said, then it can only be said that she has no fate with Chinese medicine. Wang Yizhong said, isn't that the same as admitting in front of those people that Chinese medicine is incapable? As Chinese medicine practitioners, who would want to admit that Chinese medicine is incapable? If Chinese medicine were truly incapable, it wouldn't have been handed down for thousands of years in China. But at the moment, they had no other options. Wang Yili continued, you don't need to take it to such an extreme. The patient has been ill for over a year, and she has managed to pull through this whole time. It's unlikely that something will happen in these few days. Wang Yizhong sighed. There's nothing we can do then. After saying this, he asked, brother, is this comrade really that amazing as you say? Wang Yili said, let me put it this way, if even Comrade Yang can't cure this disease, then it truly is incurable. Chapter 534. Arrived in M country, seeking medical help _4. The Wang family have been practicing traditional Chinese medicine for generations, and Wang Yili is exceptionally skilled in medical arts. There are few people he greatly admires, and Yang was the first. Wang Yizhong also grasped the weight of this sentiment. Then we can only take this approach currently. Upon reaching the edge of the village, Wang Yizhong got into a different car. Bro, I am going to pay Mr. Abner a visit. Go ahead. Wang Yili nodded. Just as their car stopped before the manor, Jiro walked over from the other side. Her face filled with mockery. Dr. Wang, how did it go? Did you manage to invite the divine doctor? Though Dr. Wang didn't feel like engaging Jiro, she was after all in charge here. It happens that the divine doctor was not home today. He went on a trip to M country. Oh really? Jiro's mouth twitched into a smirk. Dr. Wang, is it really that hard to admit that traditional Chinese medicine doesn't work? You know, once someone tells a lie, they have to tell 100 more to cover it. What nonsense about a divine doctor. It was just an excuse by Wang Yizhong. Jiro just didn't believe that there was such an effective divine doctor in China. Do I have a reason to lie to you? Wang Yizhong retorted angrily. Jiro laughed. Do you think I don't know what you're thinking? Your wife's malady is clearly a matter of days. You're just trying to buy time. By then, you can take credit in front of Mr. Abner. After all, if there's no merit, at least there's hard work. I'm not as shameless as you think, Jiro continued. I fear you're even more shameless than I've imagined. Wang Yizhong was really furious. He had never encountered such an disrespectful junior. Are you or are you not a Chinese? I am now, Jiro continued. But don't worry, after tomorrow I won't be. She had already applied for immigration. With the help Mr. Abner, her visa would be approved by tomorrow. After tomorrow, she would be a bona fide citizen of F country. Just then Mr. Abner walked out. Dr. Wang, you're back. How did it go? Did you see the divine doctor? The anger on Wang Yizhong's face faded a bit. He regretfully shook his head. Unfortunately, the divine doctor just happened to go abroad. Mr. Abner frowned slightly. When will the divine doctor be back? Before Wang Yizhong could speak, Ji Ro interjected. Dr. Wang, is the divine doctor's return indefinite? She deliberately emphasized the words divine doctor and indefinite, imbuing them with a hint of ridicule. Wang Yizhong's face turned a shade darker as he nodded. Ji Rao's face broke out in a smile. Mr. Abner looked at Wang Yizhong, his face full of disappointment. He had put all his hopes on him, but Wang Yizhong had repeatedly disappointed him. At this point, Mr. Abner couldn't help but doubt, is traditional Chinese medicine really effective? If so, why are these people consistently evasive? You can leave first. Mr. Abner looked at Wang Yizhong. Mr. Abner, go back. Mr. Abner continued. Come back when you find the divine doctor. Ji Ro walked up to Wang Yizhong and gestured a please leave. Her lips curled into a smile. Dr. Wang, please. With no other choice, Wang Yizhong had to follow Ji Ro and leave. Just as they were about to reach the gate, Wang Yizhong suddenly turned back. Mr. Abner, rest assured, I'll definitely invite the divine doctor to treat your mother's illness. He was determined to reclaim the dignity of traditional Chinese medicine. Mr. Abner didn't say anything. He just turned around and went into the house. Ji Ro mocked. Dr. Wang, it's broad daylight. How can you still dream? Humph. Wang Yizhong snorted and left with a flourish of his sleeve. Country Miami Hotel. After resting in the hotel for a day, she woke up refreshed the next morning. After freshening up, Yang started picking out clothes in front of her suitcase. She didn't have a lot of clothes with her this time. A simple t-shirt with jeans, a retro-styled button-down shirt with black wide-leg trousers, and 2 cheongsams. She mainly brought clothes of traditional Chinese style. After hesitating, Yang finally chose a light-colored cheongsam. The light-colored cheongsam, along with red edges, embroidered with lifelike flowers on the chest, was harmoniously matched with a pair of light-colored high heels. Simply perfect. After changing into the cheongsam, Yang took a red retro hairpin from a small jewelry box and put it next to her right ear. The tassels of the hairpin hung down to the earlobe. The red tassels and the vibrant embroidery matched perfectly. Chapter 535. Arrived in country, seeking medical help _5. After pinning her hair, Yang left it down instead of tying it up. She looked extraordinary, like a feminine and beautiful deity stepping out from a painting. The first stop was Shisua Island. To get to Shisua Island, they had to take a boat. Though it had already been a day since they arrived in country and settled into the Haijing Hotel, it was Quihua's first time to be this close to the ocean. The deep blue water where it met the far-off sky was a spectacular sight. It made one want to shout out loud. Even though the ocean was beautiful, everyone on board was captivated by Yang. She was a very charismatic Oriental woman. At that moment, Yang stood by the rail, gazing at the distant islands. The wind carried her shiny black hair, creating a chaotic beauty. Excuse me, miss. Could we get to know each other better? An country youngster carrying a glass of red wine approached Yang. Yang glanced at him. Hello. She did not reject the polite approach. Hello, my name is James. I'm from Chicago in country. And you? My name is Yang. I'm Chinese. Chinese? James was mildly shocked. It was his first time seeing such a beautiful Chinese woman. Do you have a boyfriend? James went on. If not, I wonder if I could have the honor of being your boyfriend. Most people from country are quite open. In the conservative 1980s, they were already into the trend of one-night stands, so it wasn't strange for them to bring up dating when they first met someone. I'm sorry, I already have a boyfriend. Yang politely declined. Oh my God. That's such a pity. Your boyfriend must be really outstanding, right? James could hardly imagine the kind of Oriental man that could match this beautiful lady. Yang slightly nodded. Yes, he is indeed a very outstanding person. To outsiders, Mo Qishan might seem incompetent and useless. But in the heart of Yang, he was the one and only Mr. Mo. Even after finding out that Yang had a boyfriend, James wasn't disheartened, and he invited her to join him. However, she politely declined. After James left, Many other men approached Anai Yang and tried to flirt with her, but she politely declined them as well. Anai Tsuehua didn't understand what they were saying and curiously asked Anai Yang, Yang, what are they saying to you? Anai Yang smiled and replied, nothing important, just some casual flirting. Oh. Anai Tsuehua nodded. Soon the boat docked on the island. There were already numerous people bustling on the beach, men in swimming trunks and women in bikinis. Upon seeing this, Anai Tsuehua immediately covered her eyes. How can they dress like this? I can't bear to watch. How could they just wear their underwear and come out? And there were adult men here too. Anai Tsuehua, being a traditional woman, could not accept this kind of dressing. Anai Yang laughed. Mom, this is called a bikini. It's specially worn for swimming. Don't think they're exposing too much. They've covered what needs to be covered. No, I can't watch. The people of M country had voluptuous bodies, and when they wore bikinis, it was even more provocative. No wonder Anai Tsuehua couldn't accept it. Anai Yang pulled her mother's hands away from her face. What are you avoiding? Look around a little more, you'll get used to it. Almost all swimmers dress like this. Anai Tsuehua immediately replied, I don't want to dress like this, and I don't want to swim. Alright, well just stroll along the beach and pick up some seashells, is that okay? Anai Yang led Anai Tsuehua towards a less crowded area. There were many fun things to do by the seashore. Anai Tsuehua and little Anai Yun played with the sand while Anai Yang went to rent beach chairs and an umbrella. She also bought 2 huge sunglasses on her way. Mom, this is for you. After putting on her sunglasses, Anai Yang handed the remaining pair to Anai Tsuehua. The sunglasses were large and covered most of Anai Yang's face once she wore them, leaving only the snow-white skin and red lips visible. Even though the cheongsam was of a vintage style, and the sunglasses were modern, there was no inconsistency when worn together on Anai Yang's face. Anai Yang, with her little shovel, was treasure hunting on the beach, and she even found a beach sea star in the shallow water. Mom. Anai Yang quickly called Anai Tsuehua. What is it? Anai Tsuehua immediately came over, carrying little Anai Yin. Mom, look here. Is this a star? Anai Tsuehua curiously asked. Oh, why is it moving? Anai Yang explained. This is a starfish, a marine creature. Can it be eaten? Anai Tsuehua asked further. Anai Yang nodded. Yes, it's edible, but this one is too small. Little Anai Yin pointed at the starfish and said, put back in the sea. Anai Yang patted the little Anai Yun's head. Alright, well put it back in the sea. Mom, let me take a picture of you. Okay. Anai Tsuehua donned her sunglasses and looked towards the camera with little Anai Yun. With a click, the camera captured this beautiful moment. Just then a little girl collecting seashells walked by. Anai Yang handed her the camera. Excuse me, could you help us take a photo? Of course. The little girl happily took the camera. Being able to photograph such beautiful people was an honor for her. The little girl click took several photos in succession. Thank you. You're welcome. The little girl handed the camera back to Anai Yang, extending a friendly hand. My name is Emily and I'm 18. Nice to meet you. Anai Yang smiled and shook her hand. Nice to meet you too. My name is Anai Yang. I'm also 18 this year. Oh my God. What a coincidence. Emily exclaimed. Yes. Anai Yang continued. That's my mom, and that's my little sister. Your family is all so gorgeous. Like angels. In M country, the highest compliment one could give to another was to compare them to angels. You're very beautiful too. Soon Anai Yang made her first good friend in M country, Emily. At noon, Emily took Anai Yang and her family to the most delicious restaurant on the island. Anai Yang paid the bill first. Emily felt somewhat embarrassed and said, Anai Yang, you're too polite. We're in my country, so I should be treating you. Anai Yang smiled. That's okay. When you visit China next time, you can treat me. All right. Emily nodded. What interesting places are there in China? Anai Yang immediately introduced Emily to the famous attractions in China. For example, the sunrise at Yellow Mountain, the Great Wall at Badaling, the magical and beautiful views of the Three Gorges on the Yangtze River, the Forbidden City, the misty Jiangnan along with the saying, Heaven is above, yet Suzhou and Hangzhou are below. Listening to the descriptions, Emily was fascinated. Finally, Yang said, not only do we have many scenic spots in China, but we also have an abundance of delicious food, especially in the Bashu area. I believe that once you go there, you won't want to come back. Emily asked, are there sandwiches and pizza? Yang laughed. Of course ours is much more delicious. Sandwiches and pizza are just fast food in our place. When you come to China, I'll take you to have a state banquet in the Forbidden City. Yes, yes. Emily nodded her head eagerly, wishing she could go to China immediately. By the way, Yang, your skin is so good. You must be using a very good skincare product, right? Yang's skin was delicate and smooth, just like a peeled egg, to the envy of others. Emily had observed quietly that even up close, no flaw could be seen. Yang nodded slightly. I am indeed using a pretty good skincare product. Chapter 536. Astonished country people. Lovers finally meet. _1 Upon hearing this, Emily's eyes lit up. After all, no girl does not love looking beautiful. So, what brand of skincare products do you use? Asked Emily impatiently. Ice Skin Jade, replied Yang. However, skincare products of this brand can only be purchased in China. That's a shame. Disappointment flashed in Emily's eyes. No worries, Yang smiled. I can send them to you when I go back home. Really? Emily looked surprised. Of course. Yang nodded. I have a spare set of Ice Skin Jade that you can try. If it suits you, I'll send you more in the future. Yang had brought an extra set of Ice Skin Jade specially on this trip, and she didn't expect it would come in handy. Perhaps this would turn out to be a great opportunity to venture into the international market. You're the best, Yang. Emily exclaimed while hugging Yang. We're friends after all. Yang patted Emily's back. Let's go to the shallow beach for a swim this afternoon, suggested Emily. Sure, but I have to discuss it with my mom first. Yang thought it might be a bit challenging to persuade Suehua, who was still uncomfortable with bikinis, to go swimming. I'll go rest now. I'll come back and meet you at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Okay. Yang nodded. There were rooms on the island for travelers to rest. After returning to her room, Yang suggested, Mom, let's go swimming in the afternoon? I won't go, I want. Suehua shook her head immediately. There was no way she could go out in such revealing attire. Come on, let's go. Yang continued. We're modern women now, we should be open to new things. Also, not all swimsuits are revealing. We can choose ones with more cloth. It was also a way for them to grow. Suehua couldn't always live like she was in a feudal society. It's still embarrassing. There are so many people on the beach. Suehua was still hesitant. Let's go. We're already here at the seaside. It would be such a pity not to swim once. I promise to choose a very, very conservative swimwear for you. After much persuasion from Yang, Suehua finally agreed reluctantly. At 1 in the afternoon, Emily came in to meet Yang on time. Yang, Emily, we are going to pick out swimsuits now. Do you want to come with us? Emily nodded. Sure. They all went to choose their swimsuits together. The store had more variety of bikini swimsuits, and there were both male and female customers. Suehua felt embarrassed. Mom, this one would fit you perfectly. Yang picked up a sleeveless and boxer-style swimsuit and handed it to Suehua. Isn't this bottom too short? Suehua kind of detested it. Yang laughed and said, compared to the triangular ones, the boxers are already conservative. Forget it, I want swim. This one's fine. Yang pushed the swimsuit into Quihua's hand. Look at how people wearing bikinis are swimming in the sea. This is so conservative compared to them. What are you still worried about? We are living in a new era. We have to keep up. Well, Suehua was still hesitant. Stop hesitating and go try them on. Yang coaxed her towards the fitting room. Yang, I think this one would look great on you. Emily picked out a sexy string bikini and handed it to Yang. If Yang really wore that outfit, Suehua might faint on the beach. No, 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 Yang quickly waved her hand. This one is too sexy. I think this one is just right. Na Yang casually picked up a halter-neck swimsuit. Even though she felt free, Na Yang still had to consider Quihua's feelings. Your figure is so good. What a waste to wear this one, said Emily. Na Yang replied with a smile. This one looks very good too. After a while, Suehua came out of the fitting room in her new swimwear. It was quite snug, and she felt very uncomfortable, hiding her arms and legs with her hands. Oh my God! Auntie, your figure is amazing! Emily exclaimed in surprise. Quihua's figure didn't seem like someone who had several children. It was so good that even Emily, a young girl, was envious. Mom, you look fabulous. You don't need to cover yourself, said Na Yang, laughing. Suehua wrinkled her brow slightly. This is too tight. It's uncomfortable. Chapter 537. Astonished country people, lovers finally meet. Under. No problem, you'll get used to it. Na Yang brought Suehua to the mirror. Look at how beautiful you are. The woman in the mirror had a well-proportioned body and clear skin. Her facial features were exquisite, and there were hardly any traces of age on her face. She was a world apart from the rural woman she used to be, constantly exposed to the elements. Even little Na Yin looked up and mumbled unclearly, "Pretty mama, pretty." Auntie, are you also using that ice white jade skin beauty product? Emily asked. Yes, Na Yang nodded. My mom is using it too. Now Emily was getting increasingly curious about ice white jade skin. This beauty product is really amazing. After Suehua changed, Na Yang also went into the fitting room with a selected swimsuit. When Na Yang came out dressed, Emily then realized what the perfect body figure was. The seemingly modest swimsuit on Na Yang radiated lethal allure. Especially those long legs under the skirt, thin and long, delicate as jade. Her slender waist appeared vulnerable to the wind, as if it would break with a pinch, but where she needed to be plump. She was not skinny at all, curvaceous and exquisite. Emily was so fascinated that she didn't even want to blink. If she were a man, she would definitely pursue Na Yang wildly. Emily had chosen a popular bikini. She also had a great figure but not as balanced as Na Yang. Europeans tend to be a bit plump overall. Suehua felt somewhat embarrassed looking at Emily, feeling it somewhat inappropriate especially with a lot of men on the beach. After changing into their swimsuits, Na Yang bought a few floating rings and a small rubber duck. There were many people swimming and playing in the shallow beach. Although everyone was dressed lightly, they didn't stare at each other. Initially, Suehua felt uncomfortable, but she gradually let go, and even learned how to swim under Na Yang's guidance. Emily sat on the rubber duck and played with little Na Yin. During the fun, Na Yang didn't forget to take pictures to document these wonderful moments. In the evening, a South American-style beach party was held. There were bonfires, food, various art performances, and even more people than during the day. Na Yang and Suehua, with little Na Yin, enjoyed large lobsters while watching the performances. When thirsty, they enjoyed natural coconut juice. Life was very enjoyable. Suddenly, a cry of surprise came from the performing crowd nearby, followed by shouting, "Doctor! Is there a doctor here?" Na Yang immediately put down her utensils. "Mom, you and Union stay here. I'll go check." As a doctor, it was her duty to save lives and heal the wounded. She could not stand by in the face of such an occurrence. "All right," Suehua nodded. "Yang, be careful." "I will." When Na Yang got to the middle of the crowd, a Western doctor had already reached the patient's side. He kneeled down, lifted the patient's eyelids, then felt the patient's neck, but eventually shook his head helplessly and walked to the side of the crowd. It meant there was no hope. A little boy, crying, clung to the doctor's leg. "Doctor, please save my mom." The doctor sighed. "I'm very sorry." The boy cried even louder. Murmuring rippled through the crowd. Na Yang didn't say much, but directly went to the patient's side, squatted down, and put her hand on the patient's wrist. After a short while, she looked up and said, "Don't worry, your mother can still be saved." The boy immediately stopped crying and looked at Na Yang unbelievingly. "Really?" "Yes." Na Yang nodded. Upon hearing this, the crowd around was stunned, all looking at Na Yang and whispering doubtfully, including the doctor who couldn't believe it. The patient has no heartbeat. What kind of joke are you playing? Western medicine from country is the most advanced and developed. Even their leftovers introduced into Asia are mundane. How could an Asian solve a patient left helpless by Western medicine? Young explained. No heartbeat doesn't mean she's dead. This is a case of alcoholic intoxication causing brain hypoxia, leading to a state of apparent death. The doctor shrugged. Oh, God. Do all Asians like you love to boast? For attention, Asians could do anything. Young stopped explaining and looked at the crowd. Can anyone lend me a lighter and a needle? Chapter 538. Astonished country people, lovers finally meet. _3. I have a lighter. A man handed over a lighter. Where's the needle? Does anyone have a needle? Yang, I have a needle. Tsuehua handed over a needle threaded with string. There's a tradition in Dam village of pinning a threaded needle to departing children's clothing for safety and protection. This practice is hazardous, as careless handling could injure a baby. As such, it was gradually forgotten over time, and only remembered by the older generation. The needle in Kuihua's hand was taken from little Yin. Yang took the needle, heated it to red hot with the lighter, and slowly inserted it into the patient's Qingguang acupoint on their head. As soon as the needle entered, visible vapor began to emanate from the patient's head. The spectators were stunned. None of them had ever seen the art of acupuncture before. Murder. You're committing murder. Oh my God. What is she doing? Yang didn't bother to explain, removing the needle from the patient's head after a few seconds, and then inserting it into their Renjong acupoint. A big man from country couldn't bear to watch any longer. He rolled up his sleeves and charged over with his fists flying. Oh, God. You bad guy, stop it. Yang held the needle and gently raised her other hand, grabbing the man's incoming fist. Calm down, I am saving her. In country, Yang was the foreigner. Seeing her dare to resist, the other onlookers also rolled up their sleeves, ready to fight. Just when things seemed to reach a boiling point, the child who had previously been crying exclaimed joyfully, She woke up. Mom woke up. When everyone looked, the middle-aged woman on the ground indeed came to. She was actually saving a life. Everyone present, including the doctor from before, was astonished. This was simply unbelievable. Thunderous applause followed. But there wasn't a trace of pride on Yang's face. She remained calm, as if nothing had happened, and carried on to insert the third needle. When she inserted the third needle, the pale complexion of the middle-aged woman gradually transformed into a healthy blush. She attempted to get up, but Yang held her shoulder down. Don't move yet. You've just woken up, take it easy. The middle-aged woman nodded. Open your mouth. Yang fed her a heat-clearing and detoxifying pill she carried with her. The pill was tiny, but its effect was potent. About 2 minutes later, the woman's expression cleared up. The Western doctor approached and asked, How are you feeling now? I'm well. That's incredibly miraculous. The doctor was still somewhat disbelieving. According to his diagnosis, the middle-aged woman was virtually gone. If he hadn't witnessed it all, he would never have believed this to be real. Thank you, miss. God bless you. The middle-aged woman stood up and bowed to Yang. Thank you. The little boy also bowed. You're welcome. Was that acupuncture of ancient medicine you used just now? Someone asked in curiosity. Yes. Yang nodded. With a look of sudden realization, the person declared, Our country has a miraculous ancient medicine. You have such good medical skills. You must be from our country. He made his last sentence sound like a statement rather than a question. Upon hearing this, everyone present seemed to agree. Yang replied, I am Chinese. The acupuncture I just utilized originated from ancient Chinese medicine. China? Since when did China's medical skills become so good? In country's perception, China is a backward country. Even when they have subways, the Chinese still keep their long braids. Little did they know, China is rapidly developing, and its future is stunningly impressive. So did your China just recently import acupuncture from our country? Yang frowned slightly, Chinese ancient medicine has carried on for thousands of years. It's a genuine treasure. When did it become our country's? During the Tang dynasty, our country sent numerous emissaries to China to learn advanced Chinese culture, which included miraculous ancient medicine. When it came to national interests, Yang obviously had to make things clear. In reality, our country learned many things from China, such as the tea ceremony, and even their traditional attire kimono was modeled after ancient Chinese Hanfu. However, the people of our country, being selfish by nature, took these elements, revised history, and claimed them for their own. Chapter 539. Astonished country people, lovers finally meet. _4. Yin conducted herself with neither servility nor arrogance, impressing everyone around her. So China had become this strong. This beautiful lady, my name is Sarah, and this is my son John. Please tell me your name, as I must thank you properly, Sarah asked. Yin responded with a smile. There's no need to thank me. By the way, do you have a pen and paper? She had saved a life out of duty. If she possessed medical skills but refused to use them to save lives, it would be morally wrong. Yes, I do. Sarah took out a small notebook and a pen from her bag, and handed them to Yin. Yin grabbed them, and began to write on the paper. After about 2 minutes, she returned the items to Sarah. This is a prescription. If you fill it out and follow the instructions to boil it with water, 3 days of consecutive ingestion will completely detox the body. Even though they were an country, if one was earnest, it was not difficult to find traditional Chinese medicine. Sarah looked down at the notebook filled with closely packed writing. Not only were the names of Chinese herbs translated into English, but the instructions were also written clearly in English. The handwriting was brisk but readable, revealing a sort of bravura that was pleasing to the eye. Initially, Sarah thought Yin was going to write down her address. It was unexpected that she penned a prescription instead. The young Eastern lady was quite different from what she had imagined. Just as Sarah wanted to say something, the girl who was previously before her had mysteriously disappeared from sight. My dear, we've met an angel, Sarah exclaimed excitedly while holding on to John. Yin and Suehua headed for a magic show. Unfazed by the incident, both mother and daughter continued their day. Suehua marveled at the magician performing tricks like metamorphosis and alcoholic teleportation. My goodness! This is amazing! This was her first time watching a magic show. Since leaving Dam Village, her life had been filled with countless first times. It was almost midnight before the trio returned to their lounge. Despite the island lounge not being as luxurious as a hotel, it did not affect their sleep. The island was peaceful, with only the sound of waves crashing against the shore in the late-night silence. While walking along the beach the next day, Yin set her eyes on a purple and white striped maxi dress. To match the dress, she bought a wide-brimmed straw hat. The next day, Yin donned the dress, paired with the hat and sunglasses. Her height made the long beach dress even more flattering. She looked more fabulous than a superstar walking down the beach, turning heads as she went. Oh dear! I almost didn't recognize you. Emily ran up to Yin as soon as she removed her sunglasses. Yin in a cheongsam was vastly different from Yin in a beach dress. Emily thought. Was it that dramatic? Yin asked with a chuckle. Yes, absolutely, replied Emily, nodding emphatically. By the way, we're planning to return to the hotel tomorrow. Do you want to join us? Yin continued. Yes, of course. I need to get that miraculous ice jade skin cream from you. Emily responded excitedly. All right, we're leaving at 5 a.m. tomorrow to watch the sunrise, Yin replied. The sunrise by the sea often occurred much earlier than on land. Emily nodded in agreement. The next morning, Yin and Emily boarded the boat back to the hotel. Despite her numerous trips to the islands in her previous life, this was Yin's first time watching a sunrise at sea. Standing at the end of the deck with a glass of aromatic red wine, watching the sun slowly rise, was an incredibly surreal experience. The sunrise over the ocean was more spectacular than on land, especially when the sea turned red with the reflection, creating a wonderful scene of the sky mirroring the sea. Splash! Something leapt out of the water. Ah! Doggy! Little Yin clapped excitedly. At just over a year old, she had yet to learn the names of all animals, and thus referred to everything as doggy or birdie. Yin laughed and corrected her. Yun, that's not a doggy. It's a dolphin. The ocean in M country during the 1980s was unpolluted, and dolphins were not overfished. The marine ecosystem was well preserved. Spotting dolphins in the sea was not a rare occurrence. Chapter 540. Astonished M country people lovers finally meet. _5. However, the sight of dolphins leaping out of the sea at sunrise was rare. So Yang immediately picked up her camera to capture the moment. After a while, the boat docked. Emily stood at the hotel entrance, exclaiming excitedly, "Oh my God! We are so fated. I'm staying at this hotel too." Really? Yang was somewhat surprised. Of course. Emily nodded. Yang brought Emily to her room and handed her the unopened box of Radiant Skin. "This is the Radiant Skin skincare set. Just read the instructions for use. Oh yes, there are a few samples in there too. You can try those first." Since the very beginning, Yang intended to introduce Radiant Skin to the international market. Therefore, she had instructed for both Chinese and English labels when she had them made. "Thank you, how much is this?" Emily took out her purse. Yang laughed. "No need for money. If you really want to thank me, teach my mother English. Also, she can help you learn some Chinese." "Sure." Emily nodded enthusiastically. She had no plans to go out and explore anyway. During these past few days on the island, Hua had already picked up a few simple English phrases, such as hello, thank you, excuse me, and other commonly used expressions. Hua was a very smart person, so she had no difficulty picking up new concepts. On the contrary, Emily was not as quick to learn. While Hua was already mastering many little English tricks, Emily still had not grasped Chinese at all. By the end of the day, Hua had learned to introduce herself in English and some basic phrases for asking directions. Although her grasp of the language was just at the surface, it was a significant improvement from her first day in M country. She had begun to accept M country gradually, but was still having difficulty adjusting to the food. She was fine initially, but after days of eating lobster and king crab, she began to miss the meals in China, like rice, hot pot, braised pork, and even pickled radish from the snowfields. No matter how great M country is, it could never compare to China. Over the next few days, Yang took Hua to visit places like the Marsh Park, Coral Tower, and Hemingway House. A flash, and more than 10 days had passed. At the moment, the mother and daughter have arrived in Hawaii from Miami, where they would be able to visit the Volcano National Park and the famous Black Sand Beach on the Big Island of Hawaii. The beach was a place they would never get tired of. To their surprise, they stumbled upon a Chinese restaurant right on the Black Sand Beach. Encountering a fellow countryman in a foreign land thrilled Hua. "Fellow countryman, where are you from?" she asked. "We're from Shanghai, and you?" the restaurant owner replied. "We're originally from Haicheng, but we've settled down in Beijing City. This is my elder daughter, and this is my younger one. Are you folks settling down here?" The restaurant owner nodded. "Our family has been in M country for many years." In the end, Hua ordered dishes such as fish-flavored eggplant, braised egg, braised pork, braised sea fish, and vegetable tofu soup. The dishes were slightly sweet and salty, and had the authentic taste of Shanghai. It was their first Chinese meal since arriving in M country, and the three of them enjoyed it immensely. After lunch, Hua lulled little Yun to sleep in the hotel, while Yang strolled along the beach, listening to the sound of the sea. She was wearing a burgundy cheongsam, her hair cascading down her back, a crystal clip on her ear, carrying a pair of small leather shoes, revealing white ankles as smooth as jade, her toes buried in the black sand, looking like a row of delicate little seashells. If time could stand still, this moment would be like a beautiful painting. We don't know how many people wanted to strike up a conversation with her, but didn't have the courage to do so. Which country is she from? Looks like either H country or our country. No, she's from China. How can you tell? Look at her clothes. I studied Chinese history, and the dress she's wearing is called a cheongsam. It originated in the 1920s, and is a unique Chinese attire. The cheongsam is so beautiful. I want to own one too. I'd love to visit China if I get a chance. These conversations on the beach were all heard from a nearby dining table. People from various countries were seated at the dining table. Despite their diverse backgrounds, they all had one thing in common. They were all trying to please the man seated at the head of the table. He was like the moon surrounded by stars. His beauty was unmatched. Even a single glance from him could invoke fear. However, at this moment, he was staring out the window at something, his eyes filled with unresolved darkness. This left the others at the table puzzled and unable to decipher the thoughts of the big boss. Mainly because there were too many people on the beach, and given the distance, it wasn't clear who exactly he was looking at. Mr. Mog, I propose a toast to you. A Caucasian man stood up and raised his glass towards the man at the head of the table. People from M country were always arrogant, and they harbored quite severe racial discrimination. Typically, it was rare for them to raise a glass to people from other countries. However, Mr. Mog was a different case. He was celebrated as a prized jewel in Europe. The man raised his glass in a symbolic toast, took a sip, and then, as if remembering something, he stood up and began walking towards the door. His slow walk transforming into a jog, and then into a sprint. At the dining table, a group of perplexed people hurriedly followed after him. The man looked back irritated. Everyone disperse. I have more important matters to attend to. We'll discuss the collaboration another day. He didn't compromise with these foreigners. Instead, he spoke in fluent Chinese. But when you reach a certain height in life, you no longer need to cater to others. It's others who cater to you. He was the perfect example of that. Thus, everyone in the business world knew that if they wanted to work with Mr. Mog, they had to master fluent Chinese. Upon hearing this, everyone dispersed, curiosity nagging at them. What could be more important than a collaboration? This deal was worth more than 9 figures after all. The man continued running towards the seashore. The closer he got, the more certain he was that he wasn't mistaken. Yang Yang was here. That was Yang Yang. He hadn't expected to see an Yang here. And Mo Chishan felt his heart racing as though it might jump out of his chest. At this moment, this mysterious boss, usually so elegant and reticent, was as excited as a 3-year-old child. It was similar to how a monkey burst out of a stone in the 1988 adaptation of Journey to the West. He wanted to surprise Yang Yang, and then kiss her, hug her, lift her up high. The fantasy was rich, but reality was raw. Mo Chishan was so excited that, without slowing down, he ran straight into Yang, and due to the force, they both fell down on the beach. Just then, a wave crashed over them. Yang was completely off guard. By the time she reacted, she was already on the beach, tightly held around her waist by someone. She was about to shout at the person when she saw a familiar face. Was this Mo Chishan? Yang reached out to pinch his face. It felt real, and the skin under her fingertips was quickly turning red. Does it hurt? She asked. No. Mo Chishan replied. No pain? Was she dreaming? Yang applied more pressure. Does it hurt now? Mo Chishan's face reddened from the pinch. Wife, it kind of hurts now, he said pitifully. Since he felt the pain, it meant she wasn't dreaming. Yang's expression slowly turned to surprise. Brother Mo. Wife. Mo Chishan planted a fierce kiss on Yang's face. Finding it not enough, he kissed her once again. One of Mo Chishan's men, responsible for his safety and watching them through binoculars, was astounded. Oh my God! The one pinning the young girl down on the beach and kissing her. Was that really their boss? Chapter 541. Ancient Castle, Private Jet, and the Stunned Suehua. _1 Perhaps it's an illusion? He puts down the binoculars, rubs his eyes, and when he looks through them again, the scene hasn't changed. He gives his thigh a pinch, unwilling to believe what he's seeing. Ouch. It hurts. Damn it. This isn't an illusion. Gaping in disbelief, he continues studying the scene. The usually stern and unsmiling boss was now atop a young girl, unashamedly taking advantage of her. Then he must have done something to anger her because she raises a hand and twists his face fiercely. Witnessing this, he could only kneel before her in awe. If he hadn't seen this with his own eyes, He would never believe that the mighty boss could be so smitten by a young girl. The boss he knew was aloof, stern, devoid of female company, and had even coldly rejected the confession of love by the Prime Minister's daughter of Y country. Despite her threatening suicide, he didn't bat an eyelid. Therefore, they had all guessed that perhaps the boss had a problem of some sort, which was why he had turned down the Prime Minister's daughter. After all, she possessed power, influence, and the title of Y country's most beautiful woman. Not to mention, she was also younger than the boss by 3 or 4 years. He wondered how the girl bewitching the boss looked, and whether she was more beautiful than the Prime Minister's daughter. In his line of vision through the binoculars, he could only make out a blurry side profile of the girl. Her skin was fair, and her hair was black. She probably wasn't from M country, but she couldn't certainly be identified as Chinese either, since residents of our country and H country looked quite similar to Chinese people. The most inferior pursuer that the boss had ever had was the Prime Minister's daughter of Y country. This girl might be a princess or a rich heiress from some Asian country. Big brother Mo, please get up. And Yang additionally pushes Mo Chishan. Can I kiss you again? No. And Yang turned her face away. Please get up. Just one more kiss. Mo Chishan lowered his head and nibbled her chin. All right, you can stop now. I've kissed you so many times, you should kiss me back. Otherwise, it isn't fair. Mo Chishan came forward with his lips. Mr. Mo, I've found that you're becoming more and more shameless. And Yang slapped his face. Mo Chishan responded earnestly. What's the importance of face? Is it more important than having a wife? And Yang. This man is such a dog. And Yang raised her head and symbolically kissed him. Only for Mo Chishan, sporting an expensive wristwatch, to suddenly hold the back of her head. The subordinate on the other side silently put down his binoculars. Before he did, he couldn't help but complain. Where is the boss putting his hand now? Who would have guessed that the boss was like this? After a while, they finally stood up from the beach to take a stroll along the shore. The sea breeze blew softly. Thankfully, it was summer, and their wet clothes were quickly dried by the wind. Big brother Mo, weren't you in F country? When did you come to M country? And Yang asked. I arrived a few days ago. Mo Chishan replied. What about you? Why didn't you tell me when you came to M country? If it weren't for his keen sight, he would probably have missed their encounter in M country. Wasn't I afraid to disturb your work? Mo Chishan held her hand tightly. Where's the job that's more important than you? Promise me, you'll tell me wherever you go next time. And Yang raised her eyebrows slightly. Sweet talker. Every word comes from the heart. His words seemed casual, but every word was incredibly sincere. And Yang smiled faintly, dimples appearing on her cheeks. By the way, Mo Chishan continued, has our mom also come? Have you no shame? And Yang kicked him lightly. After all, you'll have to call her mom sooner or later, Mo Chishan said. I need to get used to it. And Yang. This man is not only becoming more and more dog-like, but he's also becoming increasingly shameless. Did our mom come or not? Mo Chishan kept asking. And Yang was utterly defeated by his shamelessness. Yes, she's here, currently resting in the hotel with Yun. When do you think they'll wake up? Under normal circumstances, maybe an hour or 2. Mo Chishan then said. I will take you guys somewhere this afternoon. Where are we going? And Yang asked. It's a secret for now, Mo Chishan continued. First, go back with me to change clothes. Then let's go find our mom together. Although their clothes were now dry, they still bore the traces of seawater, making them uncomfortable to wear. Chapter 542. Ancient Castle, Private Jet, and Tsuehua is shocked. Underthing. And Yang followed Mo Chishan to his residence. It was a top-grade hotel on the island. Mo Chishan stayed in an undersea suite. The hotel only had one such suite, and it was the kind where you could see sharks from within your room without going out. Not only sharks, but also lanternfish, jellyfish, and various marine creatures. They all seemed incredibly fascinated by this room. This room isn't bad. And Yang had stayed in a similar room in her last life, which cost 6 figures per day. But in this life, her financial situation wasn't yet up to that standard. Emo-chishin pressed a wall switch. In the moment he turned around, the light just happened to illuminate his face. So wife, would you like to move in and sleep with me? A gentleman as precious as jade, incomparable in the world. For an instant, In-young was slightly stunned. Dream on. Ah. My heart hurt so much. Emo-chishin immediately turned into a drama queen, pretending to be in pain. Go and change your clothes. In-young continued. I'll watch the fish for a while. Emo-chishin obediently went into the washroom. In-young stood by the glass wall, waving at a sea turtle. Suddenly, there was a knock on the door. In-young walked over to open it. The butler of the hotel was there. Hello, Miss In-I. These clothes were sent by Mr. Emo. The butler handed In-young a paper bag. Okay, thank you. In-young took it. The butler then said, if there's nothing else, I'll leave now. Okay. In-young nodded slightly. Emo-chishin came out of the fitting room drying his hair as soon as In-young closed the door. Are the clothes here? Yang, you should change quickly. There are new towels inside. Since they were already a couple, In-young didn't feel awkward and went into the washroom. Only when she took the clothes did she notice that Emo-chishin had even prepared her underwear. And the size was incredibly accurate. Did this dog of a man have a ruler in his hands? In-young's ears turned slightly red. After zoning out for a bit, In-young picked up the shower head to bathe. Because her hair had some sand on it, she also shampooed her hair. After her bath, she felt completely refreshed. It was incredibly soothing. What Emo-chishin had prepared was a beautifully embroidered cheongsam. The embroidery on the cheongsam was incredibly intricate, adorned with rubies and pearls. Such lavish decoration looked neither vulgar nor ostentatious on In-young, but rather exceptionally fresh and aesthetic. When In-young came out, Emo-chishin had already finished drying his hair. He waved at In-young. Come here, wife, let me dry your hair. In-young walked over. I can do it myself. It felt awkward to let someone else handle this kind of thing. Emo-chishin didn't say a word, instead demonstrating his attitude with action. In-young's wrist was captured, and before she knew it, she was sitting on his lap. Don't move, let me do it. His movements were very gentle as if handling a precious treasure. His fingers kept moving through her hair, leaving only the hum of the hair dryer in the air. Emo-gij, have you ever dried hair for other female friends like this before? Emo-chishin's shallow voice came from close by. You are the first. But your technique seems pretty skilled, In-young remarked. His skills were almost comparable to a hairdresser. Perhaps it's because I'm gifted. Emo-chishin continued. Wife, I'm so envious of you. You've managed to find such an excellent husband like me. In-young responded with disdain. Please use your talent to torment someone else. No, I only want to torment you. This life, the next life, the life after that. In-young raised her eyebrows slightly. I must have really bad luck then. Emo-chishin chuckled. Then I'm really lucky. In no time her hair was dried. In-young was fixing her hair in front of the mirror when she noticed that she was missing one of her favorite crystal hairpins. She didn't notice during her shower. It must have fallen out when she was messing around in the sand with Emo-chishin. Is something missing? Emo-chishin hugged her waist from behind, resting his chin on her shoulder. A hairpin. Is it that crystal hairpin? To be honest, the way that In-young first caught Emo-chishin's attention was how the crystal hairpin reflected sunlight. After meeting In-young, he only had eyes for her, completely forgetting about the hairpin. Chapter 543. Castle, Private Jet, and the Astounded In-I-Tsuhua. _3. Yes, exactly that one. In-young nodded. Then let's hurry back to check it now. It might still be on the beach. Okay. The two left the hotel to the beach and didn't see as much as a half-foot print, let alone the flip-flops. In-young said, forget it, let's stop looking. I can buy another pair when we get home. Let's go back to the hotel. My mother should be awake by now. Emo-chishin, looking back at the beach, said, okay. In-young was staying in a standard double room. There was a small living room and a kitchen, but they were on vacation, and not really cooking, though Tsuehua would make some vegetable and lean meat porridge every morning, because she really couldn't get used to the breakfast here. Hello, Auntie. Seeing Emo Chishan, Suehua exclaimed surprisingly. Xiaoma, when did you come? I just arrived not long ago. Little Anayin said excitedly, brother-in-law, brother-in-law. Emo Chishan, like a magician, pulled out a piece of candy for little Anayin. Little Anayin was even happier, laughing so much that she almost stomped a hole in the ground. Brother-in-law, again. The term brother-in-law was so pleasing to hear. Emo Chishan generously offered little Anayin another piece of candy. Mom, brother Emo said he wants to take us out this afternoon. Where are we going? Suehua asked. I don't know that. Anayang shrugged. He said it's a secret. Emo Chishan glanced at his watch. It's about time, let's go out now. Anayang nodded. The 3 adults and 1 child left the hotel. In order not to disturb the young couple, Suehua deliberately walked behind holding the child. With Suehua there, Emo Chishan behaved properly and didn't dare to make any inappropriate moves. Even holding Anayang's hand required hesitation. Being affectionate in front of elders seemed a bit inappropriate. What if his potential mother-in-law thinks he's too frivolous? Brother Emo, it seems like there is no way forward, and the pier isn't this far away. Anayang expressed her doubt. Could it be Emo Chishan planned to take them on a jungle adventure? Emo Chishan laughed. Don't worry, I won't sell you. The area ahead was a wide dark beach, which seemed to be dominated by the 4 of them. There were no tourists, and several coconut crabs were lazily bathing in the sun on the beach. If it were not for the fact that they were tired of coconut crabs and various seafood, Anayang would definitely run over to catch them. Just then, a rumbling noise suddenly resounded in the sky. This sound, was it the sound of an helicopter? Anayang frowned slightly, and as she looked up, indeed saw a helicopter flying over. Was this helicopter here to pick them up? Suehua was also slightly stunned. Though she had been on a plane, this was her first time seeing a helicopter. In a short while the helicopter landed in front of them. The cabin door opened and a tall pilot came out and respectfully said, Sir. Emo Chishan gave a slight nod, then said, Auntie Yang, let's go in first. Suehua, holding the child, went in first. Emo Chishan and Anayang followed. As they ascended the steps, Emo Chishan carefully held onto her slender waist. As they seated inside the cabin, Suehua still felt surreal. Xiaoma, is this helicopter yours? Yes, Auntie, Emo Chishan nodded. At a time when ordinary homes couldn't even afford a bicycle, Emo Chishan actually owned a helicopter. He must be really rich. This helicopter must be very expensive, right? Suehua asked. Emo Chishan replied, It's okay, not too expensive. The pilot seated in the cockpit thought. Indeed, not too expensive. An 8-digit price tag in USD for a helicopter is really not much. Anayang had actually noticed back at the hotel that Emo Chishan was not one to flaunt his wealth. He must have a very successful business abroad. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to afford such an underwater suite. If Emo Chishan was really a prodigal, the Emo family's assets would not have been enough for him to squander. However, Anayang is not interested in his real identity, because from the beginning, the man she fell in love with is Emo Chishan. No matter who he is, she will always stay faithful to him. But Anayang never expected that Emo Chishan would actually arrange for a helicopter to come pick them up. Brother Emo, can you tell us now where you're taking us? Anayang turned to look at him. Keep it a secret for a little while longer. Emo Chishan continued. You will know when we get there. Chapter 544. Ancient Castle, Private Jet, and the Stunned Eyed Suehua. _4. The helicopter flew for about 2 hours before finally landing on top of a mountain. But this wasn't just an ordinary mountain. It was a very grand castle. The castle looked very magnificent, even more imposing than the one seen on television. What kind of place is this? Anayed Suehua had never seen such a castle before. This is Rust Castle, Emo Chishan explained. Anayang's tone was light. Brother Emo, did you buy this place? Yes, Emo Chishan nodded. Anayed Suehua was stunned once again. Although she knew the Emo family was rich, she didn't know just how wealthy they actually were. Let me show you around. Emo Chishan led the way. This was the first time Emo Chishan had brought a woman to the castle. The first person to be taken aback was the butler, Old Tom. Then it was the servants. Could the most beautiful one be the mistress of the castle? Indeed, she's a very beautiful Oriental girl. Old Tom immediately went to prepare dinner. Top-grade red wine, airship foie gras, and fresh fruits and vegetables. There were top chefs from more than 50 countries in the castle, so the dinner was bound to be sumptuous. This was the most expensive, most luxurious private castle in M country, decorated exquisitely inside and out, emanating an artistic vibe everywhere. One feels calm and joyful just walking in it. Such beauty and awe are indescribable. Every vase or decoration within the castle is a work of a famous artist. This place is essentially a museum, where history and art are intertwined. Yang took out her camera to take photos. Tsuehua said, Yang, let me take a photo of you and Xiaoma. Sure. Yang nodded and handed her camera to Tsuehua. In front of Tsuehua, Mo Qishan felt a little embarrassed and dared not get too close to Yang. Tsuehua laughed. Xiaoma, get a little closer to Yang. This kid is too naive. She worries that Yang might take advantage of him. Mo Qishan touched his nose. Me and Yang aren't married yet, it isn't proper. Yang. When the hell did you think about being proper when you forcefully kissed me? This guy is simply a big wolf in sheep's clothing. Tsuehua said. It's fine. Society has changed. Xiaoma, why are you so conservative? Auntie isn't that old-fashioned. With more exposure to the world, her horizons had broadened and her thoughts were no longer constrained. Tsuehua, after staying in M country for a while, had changed a lot. Then, Mo Qishan slowly moved closer to Yang, quietly hooked Yang's hand with his pinky. Looking up at him, Yang noticed his pretense of ignorance. He's such a jerk. Tsuehua took several photos of them. The background was the grand castle, but their presence overshadowed it. The castle was vast. They spent the entire afternoon touring it, and still hadn't seen it all. In the end, a helicopter came to take them back to the main building. The dining room was over 100 square meters. The dining table was large and filled with delicious dishes. There was a steaming hot pot as well as exquisite steak, succulent foie gras, top-grade tuna sashimi. Although the table was large, they didn't worry about reaching the dishes, because more than a dozen servants were at their service. If they lingered on a dish, someone would help serve it. Yang sighed inwardly. Being rich is truly a good thing. She, too, should work hard to reach this level of lifestyle. Tsuehua was dazed throughout. She had never been served like this before. That night, the three of them stayed in the castle. Tsuehua was watching TV on the sofa. Yang, can you tell me what Xiaomo's family does? How come they're so rich? As Yang casually ate an orange, she replied. It's not the Mo family that's rich, it's Mo Qishan himself. Mum, one day I'll be this rich too, and buy you a grand castle. On this point, Yang saw things clearly. Even with the Mo family's wealth, buying a castle and helicopters would be a challenge. Tsuehua laughed. I'm content with the life I have now, I don't need a castle. A year and a half ago, Tsuehua would have never imagined she would be living the good life she was now. Chapter 545. Ancient Castle, Private Jet, and the Stunned Tsuehua. _5. Yang has now become very successful. Even though she can't yet afford a castle, she already owns several properties in Beijing and her career is gradually stabilizing. Tsuehua believes that in the near future, Yang will definitely have even greater breakthroughs. Emily is a genuine M country citizen from a decent family. This year, she's a freshman at a college that's different from regular colleges because it's military managed, and summer break only lasts 15 days. Therefore, after the trip to Miami, Emily didn't continue to travel with Yang, but instead returned to school. On her first day back to school, Emily could hardly wait to open the Icy Skin Jade Skin set gifted by Yang. The gift box set included facial cleanser, aloe vera gel, rose hydrosol, whitening moisturizer, acne cream, and a bottle of anti-wrinkle cream. Emily attentively studied the instruction manual, eventually using the hydrating and whitening skincare set. She didn't use the acne and anti-wrinkle creams because her current skin is without acne, and the anti-wrinkle cream could be given to her mother. Emily, what are you unpacking? A roommate walked in from outside the door. A skincare set gifted by a good friend. Emily responded. Girls naturally have no resistance to skincare products. Really? Let me see. The roommate sat on the bench across from Emily, picked up the aloe vera gel, and asked, "Do you mind if I open it to take a look?" "Not at all." Emily shook her head with a smile. The roommate peeled off the transparent foil from the aloe vera gel bottle, unscrewed the cap, and squeezed out a little gel onto the back of her hand. The transparent gel-like substance, with a faint refreshing fragrance, was instantly absorbed by the skin after application, leaving the skin feeling refreshed and clear. It was much more effective than the skincare products they usually used. The roommate amazedly commented, "This is the first time I've seen skincare products like this. Could you tell me where you bought it? I want to buy a set too." Emily said, "My good friend brought this back from China. You can't buy it here. Oh, I also have some sample sizes here. If you think they're good after trying them, I can ask my friend to send us some more." "Really?" "Absolutely." Emily nodded. "Lina, when have I ever lied to you?" "Oh, Emily, you and your friend are just angels." Lina excitedly hugged Emily. Emily handed the sample-size bottle to Lina. "I'm going to try it now." Lina immediately took the sample and headed for the bathroom. Emily also followed Lina into the bathroom. Even in the economically developed country, they didn't have facial cleanser, and the two girls were in awe. "Oh my God, this facial cleanser is amazing. The Chinese are incredible. This rose hydrosol feels so good when I pat it on my face." The bathroom was filled with a subtle fragrance, making the other two roommates who had just returned very surprised. The next morning when Emily and Lina woke up, they realized that their skin felt different from usual. Especially Lina. When she started using the Icy Skin Jade Skin Set, she had a few small pimples on her face, but now they have noticeably faded and don't hurt anymore. "My goodness! This Icy Skin Jade Skin is truly miraculous. Emily, you have to ask your friend to get a set for me. Money is not an issue." Lina tightly grabbed Emily's hand. The students who could afford to be in this college were either rich or belonged to noble families, so they didn't care about money. Emily laughed and said, "All right, I'll definitely let her know." Seeing Lina's reaction, the other two roommates were curious. Is this skincare product really that miraculous? They were also intrigued. "Really?" Lina nodded excitedly. "Look, my pimples have already started to disappear." Emily added, "And my skin has become smoother." The two roommates were still somewhat skeptical. They thought Emily and Lina might just be experiencing a placebo effect. How could a skincare product be so miraculous? However, Emily and Lina had only used it for one day. Even though there was a difference in their skin, the change wasn't drastic, so it was understandable for their roommates to be skeptical. Just then, there was a knock at the door. Lina ran to open the door. It turned out that it was Emily's mother, Annie, who had come to visit Emily. "Mom!" The mother and daughter embraced each other warmly after a long separation. As Annie was leaving, Emily handed her the box of anti-wrinkle cream. "Mom, this is an anti-wrinkle cream. Take it home and try it, it works really well." "Anti-wrinkle cream?" Annie frowned slightly. "Are you squandering money on skincare products again?" "This was given to me by a very beautiful Eastern girl." Emily went on. "She's also a good friend I just met." Annie looked at the anti-wrinkle cream. "I've never seen this brand before." "This brand is only available in China." Emily explained. "China?" Annie frowned again. "Oh God. That's a terrible place." Emily then said, "China is growing, Mom. You shouldn't look at it with such prejudice." From the descriptions and introductions of Ni Yang in the past few days, Emily was filled with curiosity about the mysterious East. She was unhappy to hear her mother belittling China at this moment. "Emily, you're still young, you don't understand." "I'm an adult now," Emily replied. "Anyway, please don't talk about China like that." "Will this stuff spoil my face?" Annie asked. "No, Mom, your prejudice against China is too deep. I used this skincare product last night, and it works much better than those expensive products you buy." "Really?" Annie was somewhat incredulous. She had visited China once with her grandfather when she was very young. At that time, the men still wore long braids, and the women had bound feet and walked unsteadily. So, in her impression, China has always been a very underdeveloped country. Of course, she would not dare to use skincare products from such a backward country. What would happen if it ruined her face? You know, I never lie, Emily said seriously. Annie then put the wrinkle cream into her bag and added, if you feel anything abnormal with your face, remember to take time off to go to the hospital. I want this skincare product works really well. Annie didn't say more. Well, I'm leaving now. Remember to take good care of yourself in school. Emily saw Annie out of the school gate. After getting home, Annie casually tossed the wrinkle cream onto the coffee table. Although she loves to look beautiful and wants to eliminate the wrinkles at the corners of her eyes and forehead, she isn't foolish enough to actually use this wrinkle cream. Just then, her good friend came over to chat with Annie in the evening. Seeing the wrinkle cream on the coffee table, she picked it up out of curiosity. My dear, when did you buy this wrinkle cream? Is it any good? For women in their 50s, wrinkles are their enemy. So Caroline noticed this skincare cream as soon as she walked in. Annie shrugged. I don't know, it was given to Emily by her Chinese friend. Honestly, I would not dare to use this. Only Emily would be so daring. Chinese? Caroline was curious. Yes. Annie nodded. Caroline went on. If you're afraid to use it, give it to me. I want to try. Aren't you afraid it will ruin your face? Annie asked in surprise. Caroline joked. All beauty comes with risks. The temptation of the anti-wrinkle cream was just too great. To date, no anti-wrinkle creams had been released in the market of country. If you want it, take it, Annie continued. But I have to make it clear, I won't take responsibility for any risks. Caroline laughed. Don't worry, I promise not to blame you. Chapter 546. Returning to my country, I feel like kneeling down and calling for Brother Yen. _1 Caroline took home the anti-wrinkle cream. But she was slightly unsure about using it right away since the product was from China after all. If it really did damage her face, who would she turn to? So, to be safe, she applied a tiny bit on the back of her hand first. Better to damage her hand than her face. The anti-wrinkle cream was a light pink, smelled faintly of herbal medicine, and was very gentle, feeling cool when applied to the back of her hand. Caroline evenly applied the cream to her left hand, then, filled with expectancy and trepidation, she drifted off to sleep. She had an extremely bad dream. In her dream, the hand she had smeared the cream on had rotted down to its skeleton. Caroline woke up from the fright, covered in cold sweat, and hurried to look at her hand. Thank God! In the silver lining of an unfortunate situation, her hand hadn't rotted away. Moreover, she wasn't sure if it was just a misperception, but she felt the skin on the back of her left hand was genuinely firmer than the day before. Caroline's movement also startled her sleeping husband. Dear, what's wrong? Nothing, I just had a nightmare. Dreams are often the opposite of reality. Her husband comforted her. Although there was no problem with the back of her left hand, Caroline still didn't dare to use the anti-wrinkle cream generously. After washing up, she went on applying more cream to the back of her left hand. If her hand is still unharmed 3 days later, she'll consider applying it to her face. The next day, Mo Qishan was still showing Enai Yang and Enai Tsuehua around the manor. Enai Tsuehua wanted to leave more time to the young couple, so she said, Yang, you tour around with Xiaoma, Yunyan and I will go over there. Yunyan just insisted she wanted to swim. In the back garden of the manor, there was an outdoor swimming pool covering more than 200 square meters. Mo Qishan said, I'll have the butler follow you, he will arrange a car when you're tired. Furthermore, the manor was so vast, it was easy to get lost. All the servants in the manor can speak Chinese, so there's no need to worry about any language barriers. All right. Enai Tsuehua nodded. That would be great, Xiaoma. Mo Qishan said, Auntie, there's no need to mention it, it's my duty. By this time, country had some simple communication tools, akin to the later generation's walkie-talkies. Mo Qishan said a few words, and in less than 2 minutes, Old Tom arrived in a small car. Please follow me. Old Tom's attitude was extra respectful, because he knew Enai Tsuehua was no ordinary guest. Enai Tsuehua nodded, and under old Tom's guidance she set off on a different path. Enai Tsuehua was always eager to learn. Since she had decided to study English, she would not miss any opportunity to learn. In her conversation with old Tom, she humbly asked him many questions. In a blink of an eye, only Emo Chishan and Enai Yang were left in the manor. Once Enai Tsuehua was completely out of sight, Emo Chishan finally dared to hold Enai Yang's hand. "Sweetheart, I missed you so much." "What a death wish." Enai Yang gave Emo Chishan an icy stare. In front of Enai Tsuehua, he was a good boy, but before her, he was a wolf in sheep's clothing. "Do you know? My mom is always worried that I will bully you." Enai Yang continued. Emo Chishan said in surprise, "Looks like our mother really approves of her son-in-law." Enai Yang. The two of them chatted and walked. Everything they passed by was magnificent. "Brother Emo, how much did you spend to buy this manor?" Enai Yang asked. "I can't remember." He truly couldn't remember. Rich people can be so willful. Enai Yang summarized. Enai Yang then continued. "They say men become bad when they get rich. Brother Emo, will you?" "I want." Emo Chishan added. "Because all my money is yours." Enai Yang smiled. She thought, surely no woman could resist such words, right? After speaking, Emo Chishan took out dozens of international bank cards. "All my bank cards are here, and I've changed all the passwords to your birthday. Oh, and the deed to this manor as well as the property titles for the houses I've bought in Shanghai and Beijing will all be handed to you later. And the car keys and such, all yours." Enai Yang stood there stunned. Although Emo Chishan had said long ago that all his possessions were hers, she had never really taken it to heart because in her cognition, no man would willingly offer everything to a woman. Chapter 547. Return home. Want to kneel down and call for Brother Yen. _2. In her previous life, Enai Yang, as the president of the Enai Corporation, was surrounded by many successful men. Around them, she saw men who upheld power in their households, while flaunting their mistresses outside, with some men even maintaining 7 or 8 mistresses at once. Their wives, even if they knew the truth, would choose to keep their mouths shut. Because they were like the cuscuta flower, unable to say no. Those seemingly glamorous wives of rich businessmen lived by relying on men, pleasing men, and lived in a humbled and weak manner. To Enai Yang, what Emo Chishan had generously presented was not just a dozen bank cards, but a sincere and warm heart. Men might act like dogs, yet they could still be worthy of love. "Brother Emo, please keep these things. I can't accept them." "Why?" Emo Chishan was puzzled. Is it because his beloved wife no longer loves him, and wants to find a replacement? Emo Chishan was suddenly flustered. Enai Yang smiled and said, "Because these are all earned by your efforts. I want to obtain everything I desire with my own hands." Compared to the cuscuta flower, she prefers an equal love. "Boss, if you don't want these things, I will keep them for you. After all, they are yours, try as you might to disclaim it." Hearing Enai Yang was not rejecting him, Emo Chishan breathed a sigh of relief. "Also, I promise I want change." Emo Chishan added. Enai Yang nodded. "By the way, let's go and see the ranch. There are sheep, horses, and tuk-tuks there." "Sure." The ranch was located behind the castle, covering thousands of square meters. The shepherds and wranglers consisted of a happy family of 3. The father was 45 years old, the mother was 44, and they had a beautiful 19-year-old daughter. The daughter was named Lucia. "Sir, madam. This way, please." Emo Chishan and Enai Yang walked over. There were 2 new tuk-tuks here. A tuk-tuk was somewhat similar to a tractor, but it didn't have a large trailer at the back, only a seat. The sound it made when running was tuk-tuk-tuk. "I don't know how to drive this," Enai Yang said, standing by the tuk-tuk with her arms crossed. "It looks hard to operate." Lucia was about to offer to teach Enai Yang, but Emo Chishan intervened. "I can teach you." Hearing this, Lucia tactfully stepped aside, leaving the space to the 2 of them. Emo Chishan climbed onto the tuk-tuk and reached out his hand to Enai Yang. Yang, come on up." Enai Yang placed her hand in Emo Chishan's and deftly climbed onto the tuk-tuk. Emo Chishan legitimately pulled her into his arms and began teaching her how to drive the tuk-tuk, hands over hers. The ranch was flat and open with no obstacles, so the tuk-tuk could run freely. Na Young was a quick learner, so she caught on after Emo Chishan taught her once. Brother Emo, I've learned it. You can get down now. No, you haven't learned it. Emo Chishan wouldn't get off. It was at this moment that Emo Chishan discovered that having a wife who was too smart was not necessarily a good thing. I really have learned it. No, you really haven't. Na Young knew his intention and laughed. Okay, I haven't learned it. Could Mr. Emo teach me a little longer? It is my duty to serve my wife, Emo Chishan said contentedly, resting his chin on Na Yang's shoulder. It was really refreshing to drive the tuk-tuk on the open grassland. It wasn't until an hour later that they got off the tuk-tuk. They lay on the soft grass, hands behind their heads, gazing at the blue sky. To be exact, Na Young was looking at the blue sky, while Emo Chishan was looking at her. Sometimes the eyes can be wide enough to encompass all the wealth in the world or narrow enough to only fit her. Emo Chishan looked at her. The corners of his mouth unconsciously curled up in a faint smile. The gentle wind blew from afar. And all the peaceful years were not as comforting and enjoyable as this moment. Brother Emo, we are planning to go to New York tomorrow and return to our country on the 20th, Na Young said, turning her head to look at Emo Chishan. Today is the 14th, so there are still 6 days until the 20th. Emo Chishan, surprised, said, Why are you going back so soon? It's not easy to get to M country. Why don't you stay a few more days? We arrived on the 2nd of this month. Na Young laughed. By the 20th, we would have already been here for half a month. Emo Chishan continued, Go back at the end of the month. Stay at the castle for a few more days. Na Young thought for a moment. We can stay one more day and go to New York the day after tomorrow. It was their honeymoon period, and in fact, she also didn't want to part with Emo Chishan. Stay a few more days. Chapter 548. Want to return to my country, kneel down and call for Brother Yen. _3. No, we must still leave some time to travel around New York. And in New York, there's the Statue of Liberty, but at this time, the Statue of Liberty had yet to be transported over. The Statue of Liberty was packed up and shipped to New York in June 1885, and in October 1886, it was unveiled by the then president of M country himself in New York. In her previous life, Na Young visited New York many times and saw the Statue of Liberty just as often, but she's never seen the Hudson River estuary at Liberty Island without the Statue of Liberty. This time, she wanted to go over and take some photos as keepsakes. In that case, I'll go with you. Emo Chishan followed up. Na Young reached out to pinch Emo Chishan's face. Brother Emo, go take care of your business. You don't have to accompany us, really. What kinds of things would I have to do? Now, accompanying his wife and mother-in-law is the most important thing. Everything else, to Emo Chishan, was insignificant and not worth mentioning. Brother Emo, I'm serious. I really don't need your company. Na Young didn't want to hold up Mo Chishan's work, because of herself. But I just want to accompany you. Emo Chishan resorted to acting shamelessly. I'm like an adhesive plaster, darling. You won't be able to shake me off for the rest of your life. When he finished speaking, he reached out directly and brought her into his arms. Lucia watched the two of them, sprawling on the lawn, a look of envy in her eyes. Growing up in this ranch, she knew how wonderful being wealthy can be, that wealth basically allows for one to live as they please. It's not so much Emo Chishan's wealth she's envious of, but more Na Young. How nice it is to be beautiful, doing nothing, yet having people willing to give everything for her. Before meeting Na Young, she thought she herself was pretty beautiful, but after meeting Na Young, she understood. She couldn't even be considered a pale imitation in the eyes of the Chinese. When will she be like Na Young, meeting someone who would give her everything? Lucia looked up towards the sky. For the rest of the day, Na Young romped around the entire castle with Emo Chishan. Their laughter echoed in every nook and cranny of the castle. On the second day, Emo Chishan went to New York with them. Emo Chishan owns property in New York. A helicopter took them directly to his villa. The Hudson River estuary at Liberty Island without the Statue of Liberty felt like it was missing something. Na Young handed her camera to Emo Chishan. Brother Emo, take a picture for us. All right. Mo Chishan took the camera. Xiaoma, come over and take a group photo with us. Anai Tsuehua spoke up. Mo Chishan looked somewhat flattered. He handed the camera to a passerby. In New York, of course, you can't miss the museum. It was once said that New York would lose half of its charm if it didn't have its museum. After visiting the museum, they went to the Brooklyn Bridge, a 100-year-old suspension bridge that spans the East River in New York, connecting Manhattan and the Brooklyn district. Standing on the bridge, you could see the Manhattan skyline. The good times always passed swiftly. In the blink of an eye it was the 19th, and the next day was when Inai Yang would return home, so she went shopping at the mall that day. Yang, I won't go. I'm too tired from these few days. You go with Xiaoma. On one hand, Inai Tsuehua wanted to give the two some alone time. On the other hand, she was just genuinely tired. She pretty much didn't rest these few days, and sightseeing can be rather draining. Inai Yang nodded. All right, you rest well then. Mo Chishan and I will go. Oh Mom, is there anything you want to buy? I don't have anything I want to buy. Inai Tsuehua shook her head. She had already bought quite a lot during their trip. Mo Chishan followed Inai Yang out the door. Your mom is really great. Of course, how else would she be my mom? Inai Yang boasted a little. The two of them arrived at the mall. This was a major shopping center in the heart of New York City. Its splendor gave Inai Yang a sense of déjà vu, reminding her of her future life. Inai Yang first went to the pen section, buying that Parker pen for Li Ronghua. $30, about 240 renminbi. Mo Chishan wanted to pay, but Inai Yang stopped him. Brother Mo, you're not allowed to pay today. Why? Mo Chishan looked aggrieved. Because I have money. Mo Chishan had already spent quite a bit on this trip. Inai Yang didn't want him to bear all the expenses. Mo Chishan wanted to say something else, but Inai Yang continued. What did you say last time? You said you'd listen to me and everything. It hasn't been that long, and you've forgotten already? Chapter 549. Want to return to my country, kneel down and call Brother Yen. _4. All right then. Mo Chishan touched his nose. Money doesn't matter anyway, as all his money is his wife's. After buying the pen, Inai Yang also bought several scarves and bags, which she planned to give as gifts. She also bought some jewelry from the jewelry store, and picked up some gifts for Mo's parents. While Inai Yang was on a shopping spree, Mo Chishan was following her, holding her shopping items. In no time, Mo Chishan's hands were filled with shopping bags. When they passed by a men's clothing store, Inai Yang suddenly stopped. Wait a moment, bro Mo. What's up? Mo Chishan looked confused. Let's go in and have a look. Inai Yang turned around and walked into the store. All right. Mo Chishan followed her into the store. This trench coat seems nice. Inai Yang was standing in front of a dark blue trench coat. Bro Mo, you should try it on. Inai Yang took off the trench coat and stuffed it into Mo Chishan's arms. Mo Chishan looked at Inai Yang with a hint of surprise. He did not anticipate that Inai Yang would buy clothes for him. The happiness came too suddenly, didn't it? What are you standing there for? Come on, try it on. Inai Yang smiled. Madam, you have a great taste. This is a new item that just arrived in our store. The saleswoman walked over with a smile. What material is this? Inai Yang asked. It's wool and cotton. Oh. Inai Yang nodded. She then pushed Mo Chishan towards the fitting room. Quickly go and try it on, I'll wait for you here. When Mo Chishan came out of the fitting room, Inai Yang was mildly stunned for a moment. He was standing against the light, sprinkled with specks of crystalline lighting, casting a faint halo around him. He had an unapproachable aura, wild yet rebellious. The knee-length trench coat accentuated his long legs like he is 1.8 meters tall. His wristwatch, with a chill glint, peeked out from his sleeve, adding an innate noble touch to his persona. He exuded sharpness and an edge as if he had seen it all. He would definitely outshine all those arrogant CEOs in the novels. Not bad, very handsome. Inai Yang nodded. She went over to adjust Mo Chishan's collar. Mo Chishan smiled. How could I not look good in clothes chosen by my wife? Inai Yang laughed. Then we'll take this one. As she spoke, Inai Yang went to the cashier to pay. The trench coat was $500. The few $1,000s that Yang brought along were long spent. Fortunately, you could directly exchange for USD at banks in country. After buying the clothes, the couple went to a restaurant for lunch. By the time they returned to Kishin's villa, it was already past 3 o'clock in the afternoon. The next morning, Kishin drove Yang and her friends to the airport. If time permitted, Kishin would even be willing to fly back with them. Yang. Just as Kishin had said goodbye in the departure hall, he saw a 17 to 18 years old female student running towards them. Emily. Yang stood up and waved at her. Emily ran directly up to them and hugged Yang. Kishin was a bit confused at the sight. Why would they hug? He wouldn't even dare to hug his wife like that in front of his mother-in-law. Yang, are you guys leaving today? Emily let go of Yang after a moment. Yang nodded. Yes. Oh, this is my boyfriend, Kishin. Bro, this is Emily, my good friend from country. The first sentence was in English, and the second in Chinese. The switch between the two languages was very smooth. Kishin greeted her gracefully, hello. Hello. As soon as she finished speaking, Emily whispered into Yang's ear. Oh my God. Your boyfriend is so handsome. Thank you. Yang smiled slightly. Yang, could you send me a few sets of beauty skin after you go back home? I've got 2 roommates who also want to buy it. We all want the whitening moisturizer, and one of us wants the acne cream. No need for the wrinkle cream. After all, they were all young students and didn't need anti-wrinkle products yet. Sure. Yang nodded. Are 5 sets enough? Yes, that's enough. Emily nodded, then took out $200 from her pocket and handed it to Yang. That was the equivalent of 1,600 renminbi. Yang took out $12.50 from her pocket and gave it back to Emily. 5 sets of beauty skin only cost 1,500 renminbi. Emily refused to take it. Keep the change as a tip. Yang stuffed the money back into Emily's hand. Friends don't need tips. Chapter 550. Returning to my country, I feel like kneeling down and calling for Brother Yen. _5. Emily finally accepted the gift. Wishing you, your aunt, and Yen a smooth journey. Yang smiled. Thank you. Kishin was now a bit impressed with Yang's social skills. He hadn't anticipated that in such a short time, she not only made good friends, but also successfully sold her product. If this was the case, it wouldn't be long until they could break into country's market with the Ice Skin Jade product. She was amazing. His wife was truly amazing. At 7:30 in the morning, Yang and Tsuehua were on time for their flight. He didn't know what Kishin did, but the airport staff actually let him go to the boarding gate. Before boarding, he suddenly hugged Yang. Remember to think of me, wife. Yang patted his back. Will thinking of you 3 times a day be enough? Only 3 times? Kishin was a bit disappointed. Yang smiled lightly. Isn't it enough to think of you once in the morning, afternoon and evening? Brother don't be too greedy. Well, I guess that would be just about enough. Kishin deeply inhaled the scent of her hair. He watched as the time for the flight to take off was approaching and reluctantly let her go. Goodbye, Brother Kishin went inside the cabin and waved goodbye to him. Bye-bye. The airplane flew further and further away, eventually disappearing into the clouds, and a certain man's heart also flew away with it. When they arrived at Beijing Airport, it was 7 o'clock the next morning. As soon as Yang got off the plane, she saw Wu Daming waiting there. He waved excitedly at Yang, Sixth sister-in-law, "Aunt over here." Wu Daming, how did you know to come here? Yang was a bit surprised because she hadn't told Wu Daming when she would return. Sixth brother asked me to pick you up. Although Kishin was abroad, the two could communicate via international calls. When Kishin was abroad, Wu Daming was in charge of handling affairs at home. Yang nodded. Oh, I see. Thanks for the trouble. It's no trouble. Wu Daming scratched his head. Everyone got in the car. Tsuehua happily said. Xiao is really a good boy. Did you find a girlfriend this year? Wu Daming's face turned a little red. Not yet. The elders always liked to worry about these issues. How old are you this year, Xiaowu? Anai Tsuehua continued to ask. Aunt, I'm 23 this year. 23? You're not young at 23, you should find a girlfriend. When I was your age, Yang Yang was already 4 years old. Anai Tsuehua added. Wu Daming said. Perhaps it's just not my time yet. My family has introduced me to several girls, but I haven't met the right one yet. He had built a 3-story Western-style house in his hometown last year, and since then, there had been a constant stream of matchmaking options. But there were very few girls who were to his liking. After all, they were to spend their lifetimes together. It wouldn't be suitable if they couldn't get along. Xiaowu, Auntie here knows a nice girl. She's very pretty and has a good personality. Do you want me to introduce her to you? Really? Wu Daming looked surprised. Anai Tsuehua nodded. Anai Yang, curious, asked, Mom, who are you thinking of introducing to Wu Daming? There were quite a few 18 or 19-year-old girls in Jinghua village, but Anai Yang didn't know who had caught Anai Kuihua's eye. Gooden's sister Ronghua, Anai Tsuehua answered. Li Ronghua was beautiful and considerate, and she had helped Anai Tsuehua a lot, so Anai Tsuehua really liked this girl. Moreover, Wu Daming was a good prospect. If Li Ronghua ended up with him, she certainly wouldn't have a hard life. Anai Yang laughed. Mom, sister Ronghua already has a boyfriend. Maybe you can introduce someone else to Wu Daming? She has a boyfriend? How come I haven't heard of it? Anai Tsuehua said incredulously. Yang Yang, are you mistaken? No, I'm not mistaken. On this trip to M country, she even asked me to bring a pen for her boyfriend. I see. Anai Tsuehua looked regretful. Right after, Anai Tsuehua continued. But Xiaowu, don't worry. Besides this girl, I know other young girls. I will definitely introduce someone suitable to you. Wu Daming laughed. Thank you, Auntie. Why are you still being so polite with Auntie? Soon they arrived at Jinghua village. Before getting out of the car, Anai Yang took a small gift box out of her luggage and handed it to Wu Daming. Wu Daming, this is a gift for you. 6th sister-in-law, you're too polite. I can't accept this. Mostly because he wanted to stay safe and well. He wasn't daring enough to accept it. Chapter 551. Want to return home? Kneel down and call for Brother Yan. _6. Anai Yang knew his concerns and laughingly said, Don't worry, this gift was purchased by Mo and me together. He personally selected it for you. Really? Wu Daming was somewhat incredulous. Yes. Anai Yang nodded affirmatively. Anai Yang was not fooling him. This gift was indeed personally chosen by Mo Qishan for Wu Daming. Although Mo Qishan was often jealous, he wasn't unreasonably so. If he did not trust Wu Daming, he wouldn't have allowed Daming to drive Anai Yang back and forth. Only then did Wu Daming accept it. Thank you then, sister-in-law. You're welcome. Anai Yang carried on. We'll be heading back now, you should too. Let me accompany you back, sister-in-law. This suitcase seems quite heavy. The village roads were rough, the luggage tough to drag about. It was better to carry it on the shoulder. Anai Yang laughed. That won't be necessary. You might not be able to handle the weight. Can't handle it? How could he as a grown man not be able to manage it? Wu Daming laughed. Sister-in-law, you underestimate me. Having said so, he grabbed the suitcase. It was so heavy. No way. He was a man. He had to uphold his masculine pride. Wu Daming gritted his teeth, putting his utmost strength into it, his face turning red, but the suitcase still could not be lifted. Anai Yang laughed. All right, let me. You should head back now. While Anai Yang was speaking, she grasped the suitcase's handle and effortlessly lifted it onto her shoulder. What the hell? Big boss. Wu Daming was astounded. Was he hallucinating? Sister-in-law is so powerful. Wu Daming swallowed nervously, feeling some inexplicable worry for Mo Qishan's future domestic position. Anai Yang strutted all the way home, carrying the suitcase. If you spoke of dominance, this was it. Wu Daming thought he perhaps shouldn't address Anai Yang as sister-in-law. He should kneel and call her Brother Yang instead. On the way home, Anai Yang encountered many villagers busy with field work. Hey Yang's mom, Yang Yang's back, huh? Is M country fun? Is country all that different from ours? Suehua had a bag on her shoulder, filled with country snacks. She shared these with everyone, while talking about the things she saw and experienced in country. While country was fun, it doesn't compare to our China. The food wasn't good either. They don't even have the snow radish. We took a lot of pictures. You all are welcome to come over to our house to see them whenever you're free. There were more and more people out working in the fields, and more people gathering around Suehua. Yang saw they didn't seem about to disperse, and decided to head home carrying the suitcase. Yang was still at the entrance when Duo enthusiastically flew over, circled above Yang's head and finally landed on her other shoulder. Chirp! Chirp! Duo. Yang felt warm inside. She turned her head, and nuzzled Duo's little head with her cheek. Upon returning home, the first thing Yang did was to take out the imported bird food she had bought for Duo. Fearing Quihua's snacks weren't enough to share, after feeding Duo, Yang brought another big bag of imported snacks over to Suehua. Seeing Yang brought more treats, the villagers exclaimed, "Yang's mom, you really raised a good daughter. Our 3 sons combined can't compare to your Yang. Isn't it? If it wasn't for Yang, could our village be enjoying such good times now?" Chapter 552. Reminder for Li Ronghua to go to Dr. Wang's house _1 now. The villagers in Jinghua village no longer grow rice, but mainly grow roses, portulaca, and aloe vera instead. In the past, they could save up to about 180 yuan a year. Now they can make 1 to 200 yuan a month just from roses and aloe vera. Add to that, some of them also have family members working in Yang's factory and store, so they make at least 300 yuan a month. People with high salaries like Li Ronghua and Chengui are still in the minority. After all, not many can be store managers. But in the 1980s, it was quite wealthy for a family to have an income of 300 yuan per month. After all, a worker only made 30 yuan a month at that time. It's Yang who made Jinghua village what it is today. Suehua wore a radiant smile on her face. More than once, she had felt fortunate to have a good daughter like Yang. If it hadn't been for Yang, she couldn't even begin to imagine the life she would be leading now. On the other side, after Wu Daming got in the car, he couldn't wait to unwrap the gift that Yang had given him. In the gift box was a delicate game console. He had wanted to buy this game console for a long time, but he had never brought himself to. Unexpectedly, Yang was so generous, and the gift was worth more than 300 yuan. In fact, Emochishan is not stingy at all. He is very generous to Wu Daming, and even raised his monthly salary to 800 yuan. However, Wu Daming was born into poverty. He grew up in hard times. There were even times when he had to eat guanyin mud to stave off hunger. So, he doesn't want to spend money lavishly. Every month, he would send home 100 yuan to support his family, and save the rest for his future wife and child. He doesn't want his future wife and child to go through the same hardships that he had. He spent over 20,000 yuan on building a house last year. Although Wu Daming hasn't saved much this year, he is still much better off than an average worker. After all, his monthly salary equals the wages of a regular worker for 2 years. Wu Daming was studying the game console in the car, when he suddenly felt someone bang on the car door frantically. Filled with anger, Wu immediately wound down the window, but before he could say anything, the other person began to curse him. "Hey, what's your problem? You think you're special because you have a car? Do you think parking in the middle of the road is okay? Can't you see you're blocking the way? You look like a decent man. Why do you act so poorly?" The person cursing him was a young girl. She was very beautiful, albeit a bit fiery. "I'm sorry. I'll move it right away." Seeing that Wu Daming had quickly apologized, her anger lessened a bit. It was none other than Li Ronghua, who was off work that day. She was transporting some rose seedlings to plant in her field when she came across the path blocking Wu Daming. It's not entirely her fault that she got angry. She had been shouting from behind his car for several minutes, but the person inside hadn't responded at all, so she left her cart and came over to knock on the car window. Li Ronghua had never been in a car before. She didn't know that the car was soundproofed, so she thought Wu Daming was deliberately ignoring her. After Wu moved his car to a small road on the left, Li Ronghua went back, pulled up her cart, and continued her journey. In addition to rose seedlings, there were also organic fertilizers on the cart, which made it very heavy, especially because it was an uphill path here. Ronghua, being a girl, found it hard to pull the heavy cart uphill. Seeing this, Wu Daming quickly got out of the car to help her push the cart. Li Ronghua suddenly felt much lighter on her shoulder, and she managed to climb the slope. Looking back, she saw that it was the driver from before who had helped her. At least you have some conscience. Wu Daming smiled awkwardly, thinking to himself, this girl is really hard to get along with. Whoever marries her in the future will truly be unfortunate. Ronghua didn't add anything more, and continued pulling her cart. Wu Daming also drove away. In M country, after applying the anti-wrinkle cream on the back of her hand for 3 days, Caroline began to use it on her face. After using it for a week, the changes on Caroline's face were significant. The wrinkles around her eyes were disappearing at a visible speed. It was a new change every day. Caroline was overjoyed. She quickly found her good friend Annie. Annie, what's up, Caroline? Caroline excitedly said. Annie, look at my face. Confused, Annie said. What about your face? Have you started using that bottle of anti-wrinkle cream? Chapter 553. Reminder for Li Ronghua to go to Dr. Wang's house _2. Yes, Annie said excitedly. Dear, look at my face. Aren't there fewer wrinkles? That was when Annie noticed Caroline's face. It wasn't clear if it was an illusion, but upon closer inspection, it seemed like there were indeed fewer wrinkles on Caroline's face. Could it be that skincare products from China really were that miraculous? Annie continued. Caroline, have you been using any other skincare products during this period? Perhaps this was the effect of some other skincare products. No. Caroline shook her head. I have only been using the anti-wrinkle cream during this period. The anti-wrinkle cream from the brand Ice Skin Jade is truly exceptional. Could you ask Emily to buy a few more bottles from her friend? To avoid confusion, Caroline specifically stopped using other skincare products. It was not easy finding an effective skincare product, so she was quite excited at this time, wanting to buy several bottles of anti-wrinkle cream immediately, as it made her feel secure. Annie frowned slightly and said, Dear, don't get too excited. Some skincare products only show their real efficacy in the long run. You have only been using it for a few days. A backward place like China. How could there possibly be such a fantastic wrinkle cream? When it came to skincare products, sometimes they worked well initially, but became less effective later on, or even produced side effects. Caroline calmed down a bit because what Annie said made sense. She seemed to have celebrated a bit too soon. Then I shall continue using it for a while. Caroline added. Annie nodded. Usually you'll see the effects after using it for a month. Caroline, if you feel uncomfortable, remember to go to the hospital immediately. This isn't a joking matter. Caroline nodded. Yes, I understand. Jinghua Village, China. After Anai Yang got home, Yang Xiaowan told her, a man introducing himself as Dr. Wang had come looking for her. Dr. Wang. Anai Yang thought for a while, then said, Is he an old man with white hair and a white beard? Yes, it's him, Yang Xiaowan said. But there was also an old man with him. He said he had something to discuss with you, but he didn't say what it was. If Dr. Wang was seeking her out, he likely wanted to discuss medical issues. Anai Yang said, I'll go see him tomorrow then. Since she was back from M country, she should pay Dr. Wang a visit. Yang Xiaowan said, I delivered the message. Yang, I'll head back to work now. Auntie Yang, wait a moment. Anai Yang called out to the departing figure of Yang Xiaowan. Yang Xiaowan asked, Yang, is there anything else? Anai Yang took out over a dozen beautiful small gift boxes from her suitcase and handed them to Yang Xiaowan. Auntie Yang, these are presents that I brought back from M country for you and everyone else. Could you help me distribute them? There were only 12 workers temporarily handling production in the skincare workshop. Although it was a small team, their output was not low, sufficient to supply 3 retail stores. After all, skincare products only required small bottles. Yang Xiaowan was slightly embarrassed. Yang, you're too courteous. Even when you are traveling such a long distance, you still thought about getting us presents. and Ah Young was truly a good boss. Not only did she offer a high salary, she also gave bonuses during holidays. Even when she had gone to M country, she did not forget about them. In this era, finding a good boss was truly hard. Some jobs even required nepotistic connections to secure. And Ah Young laughed. It's not anything expensive as long as you don't mind. We don't mind at all. Why would we mind? Young Shawan went to the workshop and distributed the gifts Ah Young had sent. Let's see what's inside. Whatever Yang gave is sure to be good. This is real imported stuff. Wow. It's a watch. A voice filled with joy sounded from the crowd. A lovely lattice watch, small and delicate strap, and the watch face decorated with tiny diamonds which shimmered under the light, emitting a rainbow glow. In this era, a watch was a rare thing. Only those from well-off families would buy one, usually as part of a wedding ceremony. Even though they knew that whatever Ah Young gave would not be disappointing, who could have imagined that Ah Young would give each person a wristwatch? I have seen this watch in the international market. It costs more than 200 yuan. And it can only be bought with foreign exchange coupons. Chapter 554. Reminder for Li Ronghua to go to Dr. Wang's house _3. Yang is so generous. Last month my younger brother's wife bought a shabby watch for a few dozen yuan and bragged about it in front of me for ages. Just wait until I go back home with my holiday souvenirs and give her a taste of her own medicine. How lucky is it that our village has such a little blessing like Yang? Absolutely. The neighboring villages are green with envy. I heard from the village chief that many people are eager to move to our village. Dreaming about taking Yang away from us? No chance. Li Ronghua heard about Ni Yang's return when it was already past 5 in the late afternoon. She rushed to the Ni family's house immediately. Yang, did you bring the Parker pen for me? She had planned to surprise her boyfriend, so she certainly couldn't let him down. Although Li Ronghua was quite fiery, she was truly good to her boyfriend, and she was willing to give everything for him. Yes, I did. Ni Yang nodded, taking out the pen case from her bag and handing it to Li Ronghua. Li Ronghua threw her arms around Ni Yang in excitement. Yang, thank you so much. You're welcome. Ni Yang, whose ears still echoed with the conversation she had overheard at the airport, then added, Sister Ronghua, have you ever visited your boyfriend's house? I have, Li Ronghua nodded. I've been there many times. What do you think of your boyfriend's parents? Ni Yang continued to ask. They're quite nice. Li Ronghua responded happily. My boyfriend's parents are factory workers and their living conditions are pretty decent. Apart from my boyfriend, they also have a daughter who is in high school. Ni Yang nodded slightly. Oh, are you planning to visit your boyfriend's house again soon? The last time at the airport, she had vaguely heard an aunt saying that a girl who had been courting her son was going to visit their home next month. At these words, Li Ronghua blushed and replied, Yes, I'm going there early next month. Ni Yang's heart thumped. Could it really be that the pursuing girl who was being mentioned is Li Ronghua? As a friend and superior of Li Ronghua, Ni Yang couldn't just stand by and watch Li Ronghua jump into the fire. That family, including Li Ronghua's boyfriend, didn't value Li Ronghua at all. So, Ni Yang then told Li Ronghua about the conversation she overheard at the airport. Hearing this, Li Ronghua chuckled. Yang, don't worry. My boyfriend's mother is a very good person. She would never say that. Did you buy your boyfriend a pair of sneakers for 68 yuan? Ni Yang remembered that the aunt at the airport had bragged about it. I did. But I am not the only one who bought that brand of sneakers for my boyfriend. It could be someone else. Li Ronghua had been dating her boyfriend for 3 years. She had full trust in him. When faced with this situation, the first thing she thought of was pure coincidence. If her boyfriend would deceive her, then there wouldn't be any good men left in this world. Ni Yang gave her advices to this point and felt like it is better not to say too much. Sister Ronghua, there are a lot of hypocritical people around pretending to be good people. You must be vigilant and must not be deceived. You must have spent quite a lot on your boyfriend over the years, right? Li Ronghua then responded. It's all my own will. My boyfriend is a man of strong self-esteem. He never actively asks for anything from me, and I believe He will definitely achieve greatness in the future. Sister Ronghua. Li Ronghua laughed and interrupted Yang Yang. Yang Yang, I know you're worried about me. I can assure you that my boyfriend is definitely not like that. And besides, do I look easy to scam? And Yang smiled faintly. As long as you are sure, Sister Ronghua. Yang Yang, thank you for bringing me the pen. By the way, is 200 yuan enough for that pen? How much do I owe you? Li Ronghua is considerate and sensible as well. The Parker pen costs 240 yuan. Li Ronghua only gave 200. And Yang was not a small-minded person and laughed as she said, It's enough, isn't 200 yuan enough to buy a pen? Oh, and Sister Ronghua, here's a gift I brought for you from the M country. And Yang picked up a small gift box and handed it to Li Ronghua. Li Ronghua was surprised and said, Yang Yang, you even brought me a gift? Yes. And Yang nodded. Oh, and this is for Gooden, and this is for Changsho. Li Changsho is Gooden's older brother, who had previously lent study materials to Yang. Chapter 555. Reminder for Li Ronghua to go to Dr. Wang's house _4. Yang Yang, you're really being too polite. Li Ronghua, somewhat embarrassed, received the 3 little boxes that Yang handed to her. Having grown up so much now, this is the first time Li Ronghua had ever received a gift, and the feeling was quite peculiar. Yang laughed and said, No need to be so polite, it's not anything of high value. Li Ronghua returned home with her things. After getting home, she was so eager that she immediately opened the gift box from Yang. Inside was a very nice-looking watch. Li Ronghua happily put it on. When Gooden and Li Changsho returned home, Li Ronghua tossed the 2 gift boxes at them. Here, these are from Yang Yang. Li Changsho managed to remain calm. Gooden jumped with joy. Sister Yang is back. Really? Sister? You better not be fooling me. Usually, Gooden would just call Li Ronghua by her name. But today, amazingly, he called Li Ronghua sister. Li Ronghua laughed and said, Am I your real sister? Or is Yang Yang? If people didn't know, they'd think Yang Yang was your real sister. Gooden didn't even have time to unwrap the gift. He just ran outside, heading straight for the family's courtyard. Sister Yang. Gooden. Yang pulled aside the door curtain and came out. Gooden rushed straight towards her and hugged Yang. Sister Yang, I missed you so much. Tweet. Just at that moment, a dark shadow swooped down and pecked a large bite on Gooden's face. Bad duo. Stinky duo. Why did you peck me? Gooden let go of Yang and attempted to hit duo, but couldn't reach him because duo flew too high. Gooden stopped bothering with duo, the evil bird, proceeded to walk to Yang's side, and hugged Yang again. Sister Yang, when did you come back? Just as he finished his sentence, duo swooped down again and pecked Gooden's face once more. Stinky duo. What's wrong with hugging Sister Yang? Tweet. Duo pecked once again. Having no choice, Gooden had to let go of Yang, only then did duo stop. Yang could barely hold back her smile. In fact, she had noticed that apart from Chishin, duo would not spare any male who approached her, even if they were just boys. Duo would just attack. Also, duo played only with girls. If a boy dared to tease it or feed it, duo would just peck them without hesitation. This isn't just any evil bird. This is clearly a perverted bird. Sister Yang, you haven't told me when you got back. This time, Gooden wisely refrained from hugging Yang again. Yang smiled and replied, I got home around 7 this morning. Gooden hit his head with regret. Sister Yang, I can't believe I didn't know you came back so early. By the way, does Debeo know you're back? I suppose he doesn't. Gooden laughed and said, That's good, luckily I'm not the last one to know about your return. Oh, Sister Yang, thanks for the gift from M country, I really loved it. Even though he didn't know what gift Yang had prepared for him, as long as it came from her, he would love it very much. Even if it's a heap of dog poop. I'm glad you like it. Yang reached out and gently touched his head. Where's Yunyun? Didn't she come back with you? Gooden asked next. Yunyun is in the inner room. Then I'll go play with Yunyun. Go ahead. Yang nodded. It was already past 5 at this time, so Yang started preparing dinner. She hadn't eaten Chinese food for a long while, and she planned to fully enjoy a big meal tonight. She'd start with boiled meat, then squirrel fish, mapo tofu, braised pork belly, tomato stew with beef brisket, fried shrimp with green peas, sour and spicy ear mushrooms, and vegetable tofu soup. Although there are only 3 adults and a child to serve, Yang believed they could definitely finish it all. In fact, everything happened exactly as Yang predicted. At dinner time, Chingue was thrilled. Yang, you're finally back. You have no idea how long it's been since I last enjoyed such delicious food. Yang laughed and said, well, then you should eat a lot tonight. Of course. Chingue then asked, how's country, Yang? Is it any different from here? Tsuehua replied, actually, it's not that special. There's loads of sea. Also, the people there are quite open-minded. You can see young girls on the street wearing ultra-short skirts, showing off their long legs. Also, some people there are extremely dark-skinned while others are extremely white. According to Yang, the dark-skinned people have a particular low status. Chapter 556. Reminder for Li Ronghua to go to Dr. Wang's house _5. Chingue listened very seriously, also filled with yearning. She wondered when her daughter could take her abroad for a trip. Unfortunately, this was a wish that could never be fulfilled. Tsuehua continued, we took a lot of photos. After dinner, Sister Chingue, you can come to my room to look at them. Sure. Chingue nodded eagerly. Despite planning to watch TV in Quihua's room after dinner, Chingue voluntarily washed the dishes. Yang had worked hard to cook the meal. It was only right that she cleaned up. Having washed the dishes, Chingue went to Quihua's room, where Tsuehua showed her the photos they had taken in country. Oh my, these foreigners are so open-minded. There are so many people on the beach, and they just dress like this? Yes, there are even more revealing outfits. Xiaomo went with you to country too. Chingue noticed a photo of Mo Qishan and Yang posing together in front of a castle. Tsuehua shook her head. Xiaomo didn't go with us. He works in country. Chingue continued to exclaim. Yang's mom, just look at Xiaomo and Yang together. They are such a perfect match, looking just like a wedding portrait. They are even more charming than the movie stars on television. You not only gave birth to a good daughter, but also found a great son-in-law. Chingue truly envied Tsuehua, and at the same time, she felt fortunate to have met Yang and her mother on the train that day. Otherwise, her life would have been different. When Chingue was about to go to bed, Tsuehua handed her a gift box. Sister Chingue, this is a gift Yang bought for you. Yang is too polite, she brought me a gift. Sister Chingue, we are indebted to you for helping us settle in Beijing. Tsuehua held Chingue's hand. If they hadn't met Chingue on the train, they would have been homeless when they first arrived in Beijing. Chingue replied, Yang's mother, it's because you two are good people that people accepted you so quickly. Many people from out of town wanted to settle down in Jinghua village, but they all failed. After a pause, Chingue added, Yang is really a good child. If she were my daughter, I'd wake up from my dreams laughing. Tsuehua continued, Sister Chingue, Chunhua married and lives so far away. Haven't you ever thought about finding someone? At your age, you could still have another child. Having lived with Chingue for more than a year, Tsuehua had come to regard her as her own sister. Seeing Chingue so lonely truly pained Tsuehua. As a single mother herself, she understood that Chingue had not had it easy, and yet Chingue was only 46 years old. What would she do when she grew old if she continued to live alone? Although society was conservative in those days, there were still many women who remarried. Chingue sighed. Finding someone isn't so simple. If you meet someone unsuitable, you are better off alone. After her husband's death, she was introduced to several men, none of whom were suitable. Gradually, Chingue stopped thinking about these things. With Tsuehua and Yang at home, she did not feel lonely. But after they went away, Chingue struggled to adapt. Returning to an empty home and seeing the deserted yard made her very sad and filled her with an indescribable grief. Perhaps she really needed to find someone to share her life with. What about you? Yang Yang's mom? You are several years younger than I am. Haven't you thought about finding someone too? Is it because Yang Yang disagrees? Enai Chingue inquired. Enai Yang didn't look like someone unreasonable. Enai Tsuehua replied. It's not that Yang Yang disagrees. I just don't want to find someone right now. Little Yunyan is still very young, and Yang Yang hasn't stabilized her career yet. It's not the right time to think about these things. Enai Chingue nodded. That makes sense. But if you meet someone suitable, you could consider it. Enai Tsuehua smiled. We'll see. Enai Chingue then said. Okay then, I won't disturb you and little Yan Yan's sleep. I'm going back to my room. Thank you for Yang Yang's gift. And thank her for always remembering her aunt. The familial love her daughter never made her feel was embodied by Enai Yang. Enai Tsuehua escorted Enai Chingue to the door. Sister Chingue, listen to what you're saying. Aren't we sisters now? It's only right for Yang Yang to respect you. Chapter 557. Reminder for Li Ronghua to go to Dr. Wang's house _6. After Chingue went back home, he unwrapped the gift to find inside a very soft silk scarf, along with a very fashionable dress. The logo on the dress consisted of 2 CS back-to-back. Chingue had seen this type of dress in the upscale clothing store in town, but she didn't dare buy it as it cost 300 yuan. She remembered that she pointed out the dress when she saw it, but didn't expect Enai Yang not only remembered it but also bought it for her. Enai Yang even treated her better than her own daughter. The next day, Enai Yang made a trip to the store. She did not go empty-handed, but brought with her the gifts she brought back from M Country. Everyone was curious to know what M Country was like, and Enai Yang found no annoyance in explaining it in detail. After Enai Yang left, everyone unwrapped the gifts and discovered a very exquisite watch inside. They were all extremely thrilled. The watch alone cost over 200 yuan, which was equivalent to almost half a year's wages for everyone. Upon leaving the store, Enai Yang proceeded to visit Dr. Wang Yili. As luck would have it, when she arrived, Dr. Wang wasn't home. So Enai Yang took out a pen from her pocket and left a note on the door of Wang Yili's house. Enai Yang was biking down the shady lane, her hair fluttering in the breeze, when a young couple passed by her. The boy glanced back at Enai Yang, his heartbeat losing its rhythm momentarily. After so many days, it seemed Enai Yang had become even more beautiful. Squad leader, what are you looking at? Inquired the girl next to him out of curiosity. This sight seemed to overlap with a similar sight from a year ago, making Li Wei feel faintly bewildered. Nothing. Li Wei turns his head back around. So, squad leader, are you really planning on retaking the year? Followed up the girl. Yes, Li Wei nodded his head. Holding back excitement, the girl responded, Squad leader, you're not like me. With your grades, you could easily get into a regular university. Isn't it a shame to retake the year? The girl named Zhang Meng was Li Wei's classmate. She ended up with a score of less than 300 on the college entrance exam, which couldn't even get her into a community college, hence her choice to retake the year. Li Wei, on the other hand, scored over 500. Why would anyone scoring over 500 possibly choose to retake the year out of nowhere? He must be doing it for her, she thought. With this thought, Zhang Meng felt a sweet sensation in her heart. Li Wei continued. Well, aren't you also retaking the year? We can keep each other company. What she had been contemplating was one matter, but Li Wei's own admission was something else entirely. Zhang Meng looked at Li Wei with deep emotion. Squad leader. Li Wei smiled. Why are you looking at me like that? You're just too good to be true, replied Zhang Meng. By the way, do your parents support your decision to retake the year? Li Wei nodded. They don't have any objections. Your parents are really good people. Zhang Meng continued. So, what schools are you thinking of applying to next year, squad leader? I haven't decided yet. Li Wei replied. Squad leader, with your grades, I'm sure you'll get into a top-tier 985 school, Zhang Meng stated confidently. Li Wei responded. You'd better work hard too. Sure. Zhang Meng nodded solemnly. She was determined not to let Li Wei down. and Ah Young eventually made her way to the Mo family villa by bike. She had brought back presents for the elderly Mr. and Mrs. Mo, from the USA which she had come to deliver. The door was answered by the old butler of the Mo family, who warmly greeted Ah Young. "Miss Anai has arrived. Please come in." Ah Young then asked, "Are Butler Missouri and Madam Mo at home?" Chapter 558. The poisoning is serious. Dr. Wong comes to find _1 The old butler continued. The master and madam had to step out for a bit. But they should be back soon, Miss and I. Please come in and sit. Okay. Ah Young nodded and followed the old butler inside. As soon as Ah Young sat down in the living room, servants brought tea and snacks, worried about neglecting her. You see, Ah Young was someone held very dear by the master and madam. Sister Ping Ping isn't home either? Ah Young looked back at the old butler. The old butler replied, "Miss Ping Ping has gone to work." Oh. Ah Young nodded slightly. Just then, footsteps were heard coming from the spiral staircase. A man and a woman descended from upstairs. The man was Mo Baichuan. The woman looked to be around 23 or 4. She wore a purple princess dress, a matching hat, and the same colored eyeshadow. She was very modish. Her name was Xiao Yingying, Mo Baichuan's cousin. Mo Baichuan saw Ah Young at first glance, with a complex look in his eyes. Ah Young claimed again and again she liked Mo Qishan, yet Mo Qishan wasn't home. So why did she come to the Mo family? The crucial point was, today even the old Mr. Mo and Mrs. Mo weren't home. Although Ah Young didn't say a word about the wedding from beginning to end, Mo Baichuan felt like it was somehow related to her. "Cousin, you have a guest?" Yingying didn't want anyone to steal her thunder, so she wasn't fond of any girl prettier than her. Mo Baichuan lightly hummed in acknowledgement. Yingying continued. "Who is she? How come I've never seen her before?" "An insignificant person." "Shall we go up and say hi?" Before Mo Baichuan could respond, Yingying walked straight up to Ah Young. "Butler Li, our family has a guest. Won't you introduce me?" Butler Li smiled and replied, "Miss Xiao, this is Ah Young, young Master's ex-girlfriend. Miss Anai, this is Miss Xiao Yingying, the cousin of young Master Baichuan." So she was that loser's girlfriend. What good does being good-looking do? In the end, she was still entangled with a loser. Hearing this, Xiao Yingying's eyes were filled with disdain. Ah Young greeted her with a smile. "Miss Xiao." Xiao Yingying continued. "Miss Anai is so pretty. May I ask what she works as?" "Self-employed." Ah Young replied unfetteredly. Xiao Yingying laughed. "Well, you're a perfect match for Uncle Mo6 then. A self-employed woman and a loser, isn't that the perfect match?" Ah Young seemed not to notice the contempt in Xiao Yingying's eyes and casually responded, "Thank you." Xiao Yingying saw no point in wasting time on a self-employed woman, and turned to Mo Baichuan. "Let's go, cousin. Weren't you going to take me out for good food in Beijing?" Mo Baichuan nodded his head. With that, Xiao Yingying looked back at Ah Young. "Would Miss and I like to join us?" Mo Baichuan narrowed his eyes slightly. Would Ah Young pass up this opportunity to be alone with him? Definitely not. Just when Mo Baichuan was sure that Ah Young would accompany them, Ah Young spoke with a charming smile. "Miss Xiao, you're too kind. I won't go. I wish you and my nephew a pleasant meal." Not go. Ah Young is actually not going. Not only was Ah Young not going, but she also directly called him nephew. At this point, was she still trying to go against the flow? Xiao Yingying continued. "Since Miss and I isn't going, I guess I'll take my leave with cousin." Ah Young nodded slightly. Outside, Xiao Yingying pulled Mo Baichuan's arm. "Cousin, where are you taking me to eat?" "Let's have Japanese food." Mo Baichuan said. "Okay." Xiao Yingying nodded. Once they were at the Japanese restaurant, Xiao Yingying enthusiastically poured Mo Baichuan some water. "Cousin, you should know why I came back from country to find you, right?" "Why?" Mo Baichuan asked, drinking the water. "Cousin, don't you really know?" "I don't know." Mo Baichuan's face was devoid of any expression. The men of the Mo family all shared a similar trait. They seldom smiled or spoke. Xiao Yingying complained. "Cousin, you're too boring. Even if you don't know, Wouldn't you want to ask why I came back? I don't want to know. Xiao Yingying rolled her eyes. Cousin, are you really not curious at all? Mo Baichuan found no need to converse any further. Xiao Yingying continued. Cousin, I'm just going to tell you. I came back for Mr. Mog. So, you must help me. Chapter 559. The poisoning is very severe, Dr. Wang comes to find _2. Mr. Mog's name carries great weight in China, and he's even more desirable in the upper echelons of society. Regrettably, Mr. Mog never shows his face and doesn't accept any family's overtures. However, not long ago, Mr. Mog amazingly took the initiative to send a birthday gift to Mrs. Mo. So, speculation is rampant outside that Mr. Mog definitely has a deep friendship with the Mo family. Also for this reason, the Mo family's status in Beijing has been rising along with the tide. Even despite the big incident at the wedding, no one dared to propagate it, fearing they might accidentally offend Mr. Mog. Baichuan Mo frowned slightly. What does this have to do with me? It has a lot to do with you. Yingying Xiao continued. Cousin, don't you plan to introduce me to Mr. Mog? As the saying goes, don't let the water of your own mill flow into others' fields. Baichuan Mo answered, baffled. I don't even know Mr. Mog. How can I introduce you to him? Yingying Xiao laughed. Cousin, stop pretending. I know you must know Mr. Mog. I know Mr. Mog is discreet and mysterious, and he doesn't want more people to know his identity. So rest assured, I promise I won't tell anyone about this. How could Baichuan Mo not know Mr. Mog? If Baichuan Mo didn't know Mr. Mog, then Mr. Mog wouldn't possibly have sent a birthday gift to Mrs. Mo. Mr. Mog made his fortune in F country, and coincidentally, Baichuan Mo studied there for 4 years. When Yingying Xiao heard that Mr. Mog had sent Mrs. Mo a birthday gift, she couldn't wait to come back from abroad. Should she be so lucky as to catch Mr. Mog's eye, that would be the greatest honor. Just as Baichuan Mo and Mr. Mog happened to be good friends, Baichuan Mo could easily introduce Mr. Mog, with just a few words. Baichuan Mo stated, I really don't know Mr. Mog. Cousin. Yingying Xiao pulled on Baichuan Mo's arm, beginning to act spoiled. Baichuan Mo sighed. Yingying, stop it. I really don't know Mr. Mog. I don't even know what Mog looks like. Cousin. Baichuan Mo slowly pushed away Yingying Xiao's hand. Yingying, stop making a fuss. Yingying Xiao persisted. Cousin, are you really my cousin? You won't even help me with this small thing. Just then, the waiter brought the food to the table. Let's eat. Baichuan Mo picked up his chopsticks. Cousin, you really want help me? Yingying Xiao pouted. Baichuan Mo replied helplessly. It's not that I want help, it's that I really don't know Mr. Mog. Cousin, even if you want help me, you have to promise me one thing. Yingying Xiao continued. Go ahead. I want to live at your house for a while. She didn't believe that Mr. Mog wouldn't visit, and when he did, she would naturally meet Mr. Mog. What are you doing staying here? Baichuan Mo frowned slightly. I'm staying to work. Yingying Xiao replied. Stop messing around. I'm not messing around. I already talked to my mom about staying in Beijing. Yingying Xiao said seriously. Baichuan Mo added. I will call your mom. Go ahead, my mom already agreed. Yingying Xiao continued. Cousin, aren't you going to introduce me to Mr. Mog? Baichuan Mo frowned slightly. How many times do I have to tell you, I don't know Mr. Mog? He really doesn't know Mr. Mog, but obviously, Yingying Xiao doesn't believe him. Cousin, stop lying to me. If you really didn't know Mr. Mog, why would he send your grandma a birthday gift? Think about it from another perspective. If I married Mr. Mog, it would be beneficial to you in the future. Yingying Xiao pleaded. You should spend your time improving yourself instead of thinking about these pointless things. Even if you do meet Mr. Mog, what makes you think he will definitely like you? How can a girl have no restraint at all? Baichuan Mo hates girls like Inai Yang who are hell-bent on attaching themselves to men. He never thought that Yingying Xiao would also turn into this kind of girl. Are all girls in the world the same? Even if Mr. Mog doesn't fancy me, at least I can be friends with him. Being associated with someone as powerful as Mr. Mog, even just slightly, could lead to a lifetime of prosperity. Cousin, please help me. that you're tuning in to the Li Mei's Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.